Chapter 782. Ao Qingyu and Peng Wanli were unable to endure it. The majestic blood energy was enough to crush an immortal emperor. Jiang Changkong frowned. The green light in his body automatically appeared and swallowed the blood energy. The azure light swallowed the blood energy like a whale, and the flood of blood light quickly dissipated. The innate divine runes in Jiang Changkong's body were also transforming rapidly, and there was an additional trace of a unique aura. The power in his body was also increasing. Boundless blood energy surged from the top of his head, shaking the primal chaos. Lu Qian was also taken care of. His incomplete divine soul seemed to be bathed in the light of creation. It expanded like a balloon and gained a tinge of blood. "Old Lu, what is this?" Jiang Changkong tried to absorb the blood qi, but he couldn't figure out what it was. The 7 stone tablets flew out and absorbed the blood energy as well. The stone slabs began to fuse. The blood energy was like glue, sticking them together tightly. "I don't know." Lu Qian's answer was straightforward. He didn't know much about the ancient immortal gods' research. After fusing with the blood energy, the slate seemed to have come to life. With the stone slab, as the skeleton, flesh, and blood began to grow. The stone axe also began to change, turning into a real stone axe. However, this stone man was still very small. His muscles bulged, and he looked very strong. The fluctuations of his aura had already reached the limits of an immortal emperor, faintly showing signs of surpassing it. After a long time, the blood-red light was completely absorbed, and the palace also dissipated. The changes within Jiang Changkong's body also stopped, and an ancient aura appeared within it. The data didn't change. It was still the same. They went to the next palace, and profound light poured out. Ao Qingyu and Peng Wanli were both undergoing transformations. Bathed in the profound light of creation, their foundations were growing, and their comprehension of the great Tao was also increasing. The slate man also had a special aura. His chest rose and fell slightly as if he had come to life. A trace of spirituality. The stone tablet emitted a terrifying aura. It had already surpassed the immortal emperor realm and reached the immortal venerable realm. "This thing is coming to life." Lu Qian's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. Jiang Changkong furrowed his brows. "Let's wait and see. I want to see if he can really come back to life." After becoming an immortal venerate, Jiang Changkong had become more sensitive to danger. He did not sense any danger from the stone man. Lu Gan didn't either. As long as this jinx didn't say anything, Jiang Changkong wasn't worried. There were still 5 palaces left. Jiang Changkong pushed open another one. This time, a misty primal chaos qi enveloped them. The divine inscriptions in Jiang Changkong's body continued to absorb the primal chaos qi, while Ao Qingyu and Peng Wanli were also being tempered. As the slate golem absorbed the aura of primal chaos, the 7 types of power, as well as the blood-colored light and the power of good fortune, transformed and fused into primal chaos. Suddenly, the slate man opened his eyes and stared at him. Jiang Changkong responded with a look of his own, and their gazes collided in the air. A special feeling came from the stone man, and Jiang Changkong had a strange feeling. This slate man seemed to have a chaotic Taoist body, just like him. Divine power entered his body. There was a stream of primal qi circulating in the slate body, which was somewhat similar to his 8 revolutions mysterious art. However, his 8 revolutions mysterious art was more suitable for him, and the divine power he cultivated was stronger. After they finished tempering, Jiang Changkong pushed open the next door. This time, there was no power, only darkness. The slate man left his palm and floated in the air. In the darkness, streams of purple energy floated out and entered the slate man's body. The slate man turned into a purple egg and landed in his hand. Primal chaos, purple qi? Ao Qingyu and Peng Wanli exclaimed at the same time. Streams of purple energy lit up, followed by endless purple energy, but it didn't care about them and quickly dissipated. "Don't go." The two couldn't help but reach out to grab it. Primal chaos purple qi the foundation of the great Tao. In order to become a heavenly Tao sage, one had to have primal chaos purple chi. This was a legend left behind in the primordial era. As people from the primordial era, they were very clear about this and naturally wanted to obtain primal chaos purple chi. One stream of primal chaos purple chi could support a heavenly Tao sage. This endless stream of primal chaos purple chi could support countless immortal venerables. That would be countless heavenly Tao sages. Lu Qian was also shocked. The foundation of the great Tao, why not leave it behind? This might not be true. Jiang Changkong shook his head. The primal chaos purple chi dissipated along with the palaces. Seeing their disappointed expressions, Jiang Changkong smiled. Don't be disappointed. This might just be an illusion. If a sage could be born, they would be able to sweep through the heaven realm and truly unify the heaven realm. The four heavenly thearchs of the heaven realm wouldn't be able to withstand a single blow. However, it was impossible. So much primal chaos purple chi didn't exist even in the primordial era. I'm a little dizzy. I'm shocked by the primal chaos purple chi, Ao Qingyu said. Peng Wanli shook his head. That's true. If there was so much primal chaos purple chi, the ancient immortals wouldn't need to leave. At that time, even immortals would be able to directly prove their Tao. There were still 3 palaces left. After Jiang Changkong opened them, the egg in his hand flew out again. Plop! The sound of water entering could be heard in the dark space. Buzz! A streak of green light flickered, and a primal chaos green lotus rose up. The stone man, who had turned into an egg, was currently on the green lotus, surrounded by rays of green light and primal chaos aura. A powerful life force appeared from the egg. It had already surpassed the mid-stage immortal venerable and was still rising. A few breaths later, it reached the late-stage immortal venerable, and it still didn't stop. Lu Gan's expression changed drastically. He really created Pangu. Pangu. Several kinds of energy merged and turned into chaos, forming a chaos egg. Now, the chaos lotus rose and nurtured this egg. Once this egg broke, the only difference between it and Pangu was that this egg was a little smaller, right? The connection between Jiang Changkong and the giant egg became stronger. As cultivators of the 8 revolutions mystic art, they seemed to share the same origin. Ao Qingyu and Peng Wanli were so scared that they didn't dare to speak. Boom! Suddenly, the giant egg exploded. The chaos lotus also cracked, and the palaces started to dissipate. The stone slate man didn't jump out, and there was no so-called Pangu. A crystal flew out from the explosion and floated towards Jiang Changkong. Jiang Changkong was slightly stunned. He stretched out his hand to catch the crystal, and a special feeling swept through his heart. The azure light in his body seemed to have encountered a delicacy, and it directly enveloped the crystal and swallowed it. A message entered his mind. Jiang Changkong looked around, and a strange light flashed in his eyes. What did you find? Lu Gan asked. All of this is fake, but it's also real, Jiang Changkong sighed. We are standing in the remnant power of time. Remnant power of time? Lu Gan was shocked. How is that possible? Then why didn't you find the special fluctuations of time? Because the ancient immortal gods hid very well, and I couldn't find them. Jiang Changkong shook his head. The endless primordial violet aura is also real, but it appeared in the end of the ancient era. I don't know if it was taken away by the ancient immortal gods after that. Saying that, Jiang Changkong pushed open the door to the next palace. Lu Qian asked, but the things you obtained were all real. That's right. The ancient immortal gods hid their treasures in the remnant power of time. Jiang Changkong explained. The remnant power of time before him fluctuated. Chapter 783. The remnant power of time recorded the scene from back then. The ancient immortal gods were doing research here. The stone slabs that they saw were all done by the ancient immortal gods. In the end, they succeeded in their research, but they also failed. The created Pangu was not the real Pangu after all. They let Pangu, who had been created, drown in the river of time and cut off all research. The ancient immortals hid some things here and left the heaven realm. The primordial violet chi was also real, an endless stream of it. However, they did not use the primordial purple chi as the foundation for their Tao validation. Instead, they chose to take it away. Even with the primordial violet chi, he might not be able to prove his Tao. The heavenly Tao had to agree to it. Back then, Xinyuanzi's good friend, Taoist Han Yun, had obtained the primordial violet chi, but didn't he also die in the end? Heavenly Tao saints had their limitations after all. Only primordial chaos saints could be free and unfettered. What did the sages do when they left? Lucian was puzzled. If the heavenly Tao collapsed, the saints would also fall. How could they leave the heavenly realm through the endless chaos? Or did they break away from the heavenly Tao and become primordial chaos themselves? Jiang Changkong said indifferently, "You'll know when you see it in the future." Looking at the last palace, Jiang Changkong chose to push it open. Buzz! As the palace opened, an ancient aura spread out, and a figure sat cross-legged in the dark palace. There was no vitality, only the smell of decay. Is this also an image of time? A.O. Qingyu was a little uncertain. I don't know. Jiang Changkong reached out and touched it. It felt solid. However, those who could be here were definitely immortals. Why did they fall? Immortal gods already had an endless lifespan. Since they could appear here, they should be members of the ancient immortal gods. They should also have a way to prevent themselves from being assimilated by the primal chaos. A celestial glow flickered as a faint figure came out from the decaying body. "It's him, Taibai Jinxing," Lugan exclaimed. The ancient immortal god was a famous immortal god in the heaven realm during the ancient era. He was a minister that the Hao Tian Emperor valued greatly. He had a snow-white beard, a horsetail whisk in his hand, and a full head of white hair. "Greetings, fellow Taoist." The faint soul bowed slightly. "Greetings, senior." The three of them bowed at the same time. Taibai Jinxing smiled faintly. "I'm sure you've all seen everything. We're heading to the other side, leaving behind fellow Taoists. We're truly ashamed." Nirvana Realm? Jiang Changkong frowned. "What is Nirvana Realm? I do not know either. Perhaps my main body knows. I am only a strand of divine will, left behind to pass on some things." Taibai Jinxing said. Jiang Changkong and the other two said solemnly, "Please instruct us, senior." The Panga Dao fruit is a lie made up by the saints. There's no real Dao fruit. If there is, then the heaven realm, the immortal realm, and the endless mortal world are the Tao fruits. Taibai Jinxing smiled and said, "You don't have to chase after us. Develop well, and you will meet again in the future." The three of them listened carefully. There was no need to pursue it. Let them govern the heaven realm now. Ho-Tu Saint has decreed that everyone must protect the heaven realm. Do not enter the chaos to search for celestial spirits. The faint soul slowly dissipated. Jiang Changkong and the other two were confused. "We can't enter the primal chaos to search for immortal essences? Isn't this just for the immortal spirit to grow?" Lucian frowned and said, "That's not right." Back then, Ho-Tu Saint asked our ancient descendants to fight against the immortal spirits. If not for the fact that the immortal spirits had become much stronger in the end, they would have definitely killed all the immortal spirits. At that time, Ho-Tu had also slaughtered countless immortal spirits. Why didn't he let them search now? Taibai Jinxing had already dissipated. They could not ask him even if they wanted to. Immortal spirits are extremely dangerous. If they're not destroyed, how will the heaven realm resist the birth of primordial chaos realm cultivators in the future? Jiang Changkong said solemnly, "We have to kill the immortal spirits." Could this Taibai Jinxing be a fake? A.O. Qingyu guessed. Immortal spirits shouldn't be able to come here. Jiang Changkong shook his head. He could not understand either. He did not think further and left with them. Since he could not figure it out, he would not think about it anymore. When he reached primordial chaos realm, he would kill all the immortal spirits. After leaving the primal chaos space, Peng Wanli returned to the great golden-winged Peng race. Jiang Changkong and A.O. Qingyu returned to the dragon race. They had gained a lot this time. Ao Qingyu needed to enter seclusion to digest the chaos water essence's power. They returned to the blood pool and continued to bleed. Jiang Changkong sensed the crystals in his body. The azure light was digesting the crystal's power. The Kane divine pattern was also changing. The special aura became denser and denser. Lu Qian also benefited. There was a trace of special aura in his body that was nourished by the Kane divine pattern. Unfortunately, he was only a remnant soul now and could not sense this special aura. Jiang Changkong tried to circulate this special aura. A divine might that surpassed an immortal venerable was emitted. The reincarnation disk trembled and activated the sage might to respond. Jiang Changkong sensed carefully. This aura was not weaker than the sage might, but it was also different. It was still very weak now, but once he digested the crystals, it would definitely become extremely powerful. Lu Qian was also shocked. He exclaimed, "What kind of power is this?" Panga's power? Jiang Changkong pondered. This crystal flew out from Pangu, which was created by the ancient immortals. Was this Panga's power? He was not sure. The ancient immortals had never seen the real Pangu. It was just an imitation, not the real Pangu. But it was also a mystic art, and it was also nurtured by the chaos green lotus, so it could be said to be Pangu. Jiang Changkong felt the azure light in his body and thought of the azure light in the Holy Land. Was this the mark of Pangu? Whoosh! The blood pool trembled. There was a trace of azure in his blood. The changes in the blood pool sped up. The 3 drops of blood also swelled. Soon, he would be able to completely change the blood pool and complete the mission Ho-Tu gave him. Lu Qian enjoyed the tempering. Although he did not know what this change was, it was definitely a good thing. Maybe when he revived, his strength would increase. Jiang Changkong released blood. The war in the heavenly realm continued. The Demon Emperor Heaven's power was accumulating more and more. When he changed the blood pool, the Demon Emperor Heaven's power would definitely allow him to reach the limit of an immortal venerable. The Heavenly Court's mutant army was also becoming stronger. The heavenly realm was in chaos. The heavenly Tao only rewarded him with the power of heaven. Time flew. Another 10 days passed. The blood pool's transformation was finally complete. The crystals were almost digested. The special aura in Jiang Changkong's body was also very dense. The Kane divine pattern was also very terrifying. Jiang Changkong's special aura was now comparable to the reincarnation disc. Although it was still a little weak, it was because he was not strong enough. When he improved, even if the other party had a sage artifact, it would not be a big threat to him. In these 10 days, Peng Wanli came often. He was rubbed by Ao Qingyu and almost had all his feathers plucked. Fortunately, with their previous experience, they could be considered friends. The dragon race did not go too far. Boom! The last drop of blood in the blood pool was completed. Under the 12 shaman tree, the 3 drops of blood had turned into a huge blood ball, the size of a person. A powerful life force emanated from the blood sphere, accompanied by a series of growls. The ancestral shaman tree swayed, and a blurry figure formed. Ho-Tu! Jiang Changkong stopped releasing blood. The reincarnation disc also returned to his side. The chaotic air current no longer surged. Ho-Tu's figure appeared and pointed at Lu Qian's forehead. Information flowed into his mind. Chapter 784. After Mount Buzhou broke, the ancient immortals and gods repaired it. The golden barrier was set up by the ancient immortals and gods. Even a true sage would not be able to break it, much less an immortal venerable. Only when the immortal spirits of the heaven realm were cleansed would Mount Buzhou weaken the barrier and allow immortal emperors to enter. For the barrier to completely dissipate, a sage or a heavenly emperor had to appear in the heaven realm. Only then would the races on Mount Buzhou return to the heaven realm. As for Jiang Changkong, he would not be able to leave even if he came in. This was what Ho-Tu meant. However, he could stretch out a hand and send something to his friends outside or bring something in. This could be considered as opening the door of convenience. Is this a form of imprisonment? Jiang Changkong was a little depressed. He could give the reincarnation plate to the demon emperor. He could also obtain the power of heaven accumulated by the demon emperor to increase his strength. Forget it. My main body will stay here and familiarize myself with my new power. Jiang Changkong pondered. He had just refined the crystal, which was of great help to his strength. The special aura was also tainted with god power, making his god power stronger and more special. After Hutu sent the message, she had already disappeared. The blood pool also disappeared. The 3 drops of blood in the blood pool would give birth to the witch race. Now that everything was done, he was just waiting for the witch race to come out themselves. He was no longer needed. Jiang Changkong's heart was filled with complicated emotions when he thought about how this newly born witch tribe was actually created from his own blood. After leaving the Dragon Egg world, Jiang Changkong walked down Mount Buzhou. The power of Mount Buzhou was useless against him now. The power he obtained was somewhat similar to the pressure of Mount Buzhou, but it was somewhat different. The power of Pangu completely offset the pressure exerted by Mount Buzhou. After contacting his secondary body, Jiang Changkong concealed himself and flew down. Without God's might, Mount Buzhou was just a tall mountain peak to him. Some immortal formations and restrictions could not stop him. After spending half a day, Jiang Changkong arrived at the foot of the mountain. The demon emperor was still fighting, so he waited. Until night fell, the demon emperor returned with his troops. He came to the barrier alone and placed his hand on it. As the 2 palms touched, Jiang Changkong absorbed the power of heaven and converted it into essence, qi, and soul. 23 million. Jiang Changkong also raised the demon sovereign to the peak of the celestial venerable realm and handed the reincarnation disc to him. After doing all this, the demon emperor returned to the demon emperor palace, and Jiang Changkong returned to the Dragon Egg world to guide the little dragon king in his cultivation. Since I can't go out, then I'll give some pointers to the little dragon king and go out to look for treasures or something along the way. Peng Wanli came over eagerly. Senior Jiang, is that the yin-yang dual qi bottle you mentioned last time? Jiang Changkong was a little amused. No wonder you come here every other day. I can ask the spirit beast emperor about the yin and yang dual qi bottle, but I can't get out of here now, and I can't do anything about it. Then what happens after we leave? Peng Wanli asked carefully. Well, that would depend on what the spirit demon emperor needs. However, the spirit demon emperor is already at the peak of the heaven realm. I reckon that only by proving his Tao can he be satisfied. Jiang Changkong rubbed his chin and pondered. With your meager strength, what can you bring to the spirit demon sovereign? Peng Wanli lowered his head in shame. He was only an immortal emperor. The spirit demon sovereign was not a weakling. The spirit demon sovereign had already grown up, and he was also a powerful, immortal venerable. Of course, it's not that there's no way. As long as this sovereign asks, with the relationship between this sovereign and the spirit demon sovereign, the spirit demon sovereign will definitely give it to him. Jiang Changkong said proudly. Senior Jiang, look, I even shared my fortuitous encounter with you. Peng Wanli looked at him pitifully. That's because you swore to the heavens to tell this sovereign when you were drunk. Jiang Changkong said with a straight face. I didn't force you. You were the one who wanted to tell me yourself. What can I do? The yin-yang dual qi bottle was still helpful to the current spirit demon sovereign. When it was no longer useful, he would return it to Peng Wanli. However, he couldn't return it easily. He had to test this little bird to see if there were any other good treasures. Peng Wanli laid on the ground in despair. He couldn't get the treasure back. You're only left with feathers, the little dragon king said in disdain. Peng Wanli raised his head. Why don't you pluck some feathers? No, this sovereign is at the peak of celestial venerable. What's the use of a small celestial emperor's feather? Jiang Changkong shook his head. The gap between the two was too huge. He could easily crush an celestial emperor's feather. Then, in the future, I will work for the spirit demon sovereign. I will be loyal to the spirit demon sovereign and only ask that the spirit demon sovereign return the treasure. Peng Wanli gritted his teeth. Jiang Changkong laughed. The spirit demon sovereign didn't care about an celestial emperor, golden-winged Great Peng. If the entire golden-winged Great Peng race submitted to him, he would definitely return it. Senior Jiang, what conditions do you have? Peng Wanli asked. Jiang Changkong sighed. It isn't about what conditions I have, but what you have. You aren't of any help to me, so you can only help the spirit demon sovereign. Your strength is too weak. Peng Wanli fell silent. The little dragon king couldn't take it anymore. Get the entire race to support the spirit demon sovereign. He will definitely return it. The entire race? Peng Wanli was stunned. He shook his head. No, we can't go out either. For a top-tier 8th-grade immortal artifact, they were willing to sacrifice their entire race? Peng Wanli wasn't stupid. Although the yin-yang dual qi bottle was a supreme treasure, it was more of a symbol to them now. We can wait until we go out before supporting the spirit demon sovereign, Jiang Changkong said. No. Peng Wanli shook his head. Then there's nothing to talk about. If we don't want to pay anything, how can we get the supreme treasure back? Jiang Changkong said indifferently. The little dragon king said unhappily, our dragon race is supporting the spirit demon sovereign. What is your golden-winged great Peng race hesitating for? Peng Wanli didn't say anything. He shrunk his head and didn't look at them. Jiang Changkong sighed. I gave you guys a fortune, but you guys didn't want it. After you go out, if you don't follow the spirit demon sovereign, who else can you follow? At that time, what if the spirit demon sovereign loses? No matter what, the spirit demon sovereign won't have the chance to become the celestial arch. Peng Wanli muttered. Jiang Changkong. He really saw things clearly. Even if the demon court won, the celestial arch position would still belong to the spirit demon sovereign. It was indeed not the spirit demon sovereign's turn to sit on it. However, everything could change. If he wanted to fight for the celestial arch position, what could the incomplete heavenly Tao do? Jiang Changkong said, Fine, if this barrier dissipates and the races return, the spirit demon sovereign will still have a place in the heaven realm. How about it? The immortals nurtured by Mount Buzhou could be said to be unafraid of the chaotic aura. They could survive in the primal chaos for a long time. This was something he knew during this period of time. At that time, he would bring this group of immortals into the primal chaos to capture immortal spirits. They would also be a great help. Compared to the immortals in the heaven realm, they were much more useful. Most importantly, immortal spirits couldn't enter here. There wouldn't be any immortal spirits hiding here. Unlike the heaven realm, there were immortal spirits hiding, traitors, and mutated ones. It was hard to investigate. At that time, if they killed their way into the primal chaos, those traitors might very well fall into a trap. Peng Wanli hesitated and said, I have to go back and ask Lord Clan Leader. No problem. I will wait for you. Also, as long as you guys support the spirit demon sovereign, I promise that other than returning the supreme treasure, there will be other treasures as rewards in the future. Chapter 785. At the top of Mount Buzhou, Jiang Changkong was teaching the little dragon king to cultivate. Although he didn't cultivate the ancestral dragon scripture, his comprehension of the immortal emperor and immortal venerables was still very useful to the little dragon king. At first, it was only the little dragon king, but in the end, many dragon whelps also gathered. The law of primal chaos manifested all kinds of strange beasts in the air. All kinds of chaotic mysteries intertwined in the air. The innate divine patterns were exposed without any concealment. The true dragons were immersed in the profound laws. 3 days later, Peng Wanli returned to the world of the dragon egg. Following him was a golden-winged great Peng, immortal force surging, releasing the aura of supremacy of immortal Tao. The dragon whelps who were enlightened dispersed and looked at the golden-winged rock in horror. An immortal venerable, and not an ordinary one at that. Jiang Changkong's expression was indifferent as the divine aura in his body slowly spread. Boom! The two divine powers clashed against each other. Invisible divine powers clashed against each other. Great golden-winged Pengs appeared one after another, producing endless golden light as they swooped down. Jiang Changkong smiled faintly. Countless chaotic divine dragons appeared around him as he charged toward the golden rock. They didn't directly collide. Instead, they chased each other, The various great Tao profundities corroborated each other and competed against each other. The scene in front of him changed. A giant, golden-winged great Peng that was tens of thousands of feet long appeared. Jiang Changkong transformed into a 10,000 Zhonglong divine dragon, and the two of them confronted each other. Yin and Yang Qi fell, and countless great Tao marks appeared. The chaotic divine power interweaved, and the boundless primal chaos contained endless possibilities. The primal chaos force devoured the Yin and Yang Qi, and within the primal chaos, the Yin and Yang Qi transformed into resplendent light. In the outside world, a few old dragons watched quietly and did not interfere. Little Dragon King and the other dragon whelps quickly retreated. Peng Wanli also hid to the side. The two immortal Daos clashed. The two immortal sovereigns verified their own Daos. The entire world of the Dragon Egg was split in half. One half was an unfathomably deep primal chaos. Streams of primal chaos chi were like divine dragons or the veins of heaven and earth, manifesting the laws of heaven and earth. The other half was black and white yin and yang energy, forming an enormous treasure diagram. Countless patterns were outlined, countless profound mysteries hidden within. The few old dragons also felt a little moved. The battle between the two of them was the ultimate truth of the great Tao, allowing them to pry into different Daos. The battle of the great path between the two sides did not last long. In just 6 hours, all the visions dissipated. The yin and yang energies dissipated, and the golden-winged great Peng turned into an old man. He greeted, "Golden-winged great Peng race, Peng Jiutian, greets Taoist Jiang." "Greetings, fellow Taoist Peng." Jiang Changkong returned the greeting. "There's no need to exchange pleasantries. Sit down and talk," said an old dragon. "You old geezer, I'm not here to look for you." Peng Jiutian snorted. "I'm here today to discuss something with fellow Taoist Jiang." "It's as if everyone wants to hear it," the old dragon said disdainfully and turned to leave. The other dragons also dispersed to digest the enlightenment they had just gained. Jiang Changkong smiled faintly and said, "Then sit down, drink, and talk." "Very good. I've long heard that fellow Taoist Jiang brought immortal wine. I've always wanted to come, but I've been busy with chores. Today, I must drink to my heart's content." Peng Jiutian laughed heartily. The chaos stone table appeared. Jiang Changkong roasted the fierce beast meat and took out the immortal wine. He didn't have celestial, venerable grade immortal wine. This was only celestial emperor grade. Peng Jiutian gulped down a jar. He liked it a lot and looked at Jiang Changkong's ring. Jiang Changkong laughed and took out a few more jars of wine. After drinking another jar, Peng Jiutian said, "Fellow Taoist Jiang, I understand everything. It's just that you're making things difficult for me. If you want a treasure, you have to pay a price." Jiang Changkong said calmly, "The yin-yang dual qi bottle was obtained by me and the Demon Emperor after going through a life and death crisis. 2 top-tier 8th-grade immortal artifacts. Is fellow Taoist Jiang willing?" Peng Jiutian asked. Jiang Changkong shook his head and smiled. "Do you think that I and the Demon Emperor care about 1 or 2 top-tier 8th-grade immortal artifacts?" Peng Jiutian frowned. "The Heaven Realm is in chaos now. The Demon Emperor isn't the Heavenly Emperor chosen by the Heavenly Tao. Which one in the Heaven Realm does fellow Taoists think can become the Heavenly Emperor?" Jiang Changkong asked calmly. Peng Jiutian pondered and said, "The Demon Emperor is promising. Is there a difference between supporting the Demon Emperor and the Demon Emperor?" Jiang Changkong smiled. Peng Jiutian shook his head and laughed. "Fellow Taoist, how can I not see your plans? The Demon Emperor probably wants to establish himself as the Demon Emperor." "That's right." Jiang Changkong didn't hide it anymore. "The Demon Emperor does have such thoughts. However, I'm very curious. Why do you say that the Demon Emperor is promising?" "Because he is the Golden Crow. He has the bloodline of the primordial Demon Emperor." Peng Jiutian said, "The Heavenly Tao chose him. What about the other 2 Heavenly Emperors?" "The Heaven Realm has experienced the Demon Court and the Heavenly Court. Now that the Heavenly Tao is in chaos, The Heavenly Court's bloodline is gone. They need a familiar and experienced Heavenly Emperor. Peng Jiutian said. I'm afraid not, right? The failure of the Demon Court proves that the Demon Court's destiny is over. How can the Demon Court that has collapsed be rebuilt? When a new Heavenly Emperor appears, the Heaven Realm will be revived. Jiang Changkong said solemnly. Peng Jiutian was silent. After a long time, he said, this is definitely not feasible. Fellow Taoist Jiang, you can state other conditions. Why not? Jiang Changkong's expression sank. Just because he is the Demon Emperor? Has the Heavenly Tao stated the so-called Heavenly Tao? There is no need for the Heavenly Tao to state it. The Celestial Court Heavenly Emperor is not suitable. The Celestial Court Heavenly Emperor prioritizes incense. From the beginning, he has walked the wrong path and restricted the Celestial Tao. Peng Jiutian said indifferently. Jiang Changkong took a deep breath and stood up. The great golden-winged Peng race will not support the Demon Emperor no matter what. Peng Jiutian didn't say anything. Little Dragon King bounced to Jiang Changkong's side. He raised his head and said firmly, I, the East Sea Dragon King, will always support the previous Dragon King. That is your East Sea. The dragon race doesn't think so. Peng Jiutian said indifferently. If the dragon race supports you, the great golden-winged Peng race might change their mind. Jiang Changkong frowned. Peng Jiutian turned into a beam of golden light and left. The red-bearded old dragon walked over and shook his head. Taoist Jiang, the Demon Emperor is the most unsuitable choice. Taoist Oyen, then what about the main body? Jiang Changkong asked. You are the same as the Demon Emperor. The old dragon Ao Yin shook his head. A long time ago, the Celestial Emperor position was decided. Who? The Demon Emperor? Jiang Changkong's expression changed. Ho-Tu Sage decided it. The Heavenly Tao decided it. Ao Yin sighed. This is a secret. Before the Heavenly Tao collapsed, the Celestial Emperor was already chosen. Birth really determines fate. The moment the Demon Emperor is born, he is the Demon Emperor, the Celestial Emperor chosen by the Heavenly Tao. Jiang Changkong smiled coldly. But things have changed. Some people say that the Demon Emperor is the true Lord. Ao Yan's expression changed. Who said that? Which sage? It is not a sage. Jiang Changkong shook his head. I said it. Ao Yan, are you crazy? Did you say it? Are you planning to fight with the Heavenly Tao and forcefully take the Celestial Emperor position? Little Dragon King narrowed his mouth. I also said it before. The Demon Emperor is the Celestial Emperor. Don't drink so much. Ao Lai's face darkened. What are you saying? You are offending the Heavenly Tao. He did not want the dragon race to be destroyed by the Heavenly Tao after going against it, after recuperating for so many years. Taoist Jiang, you and the Demon Emperor are really not suitable. Chapter 786. Ao Yin left. Little Dragon King comforted Jiang Changkong in a low voice. Acting Dragon King, we support you. Little Dragon King is so obedient. When I become the Celestial Emperor, I will bring all of you over. Jiang Changkong smiled. Ao Qingyu walked over and picked up the Little Dragon King. It won't be easy to gain their support. We need to think of another way. Do you have a way? Jiang Changkong asked. Ao Qingyu shook her head. Unless you can flatten the Heaven Realm and resist the Heavenly Tao, there is no other way. Jiang Changkong pouted. There was nothing he could do. What else could he say? Before the ancient immortals and gods left, they had already decided on the next ruler of the Heavenly Court and made arrangements for the aftermath. However, the appearance of the immortal spirit messed up the plan. The Demon Emperor could only endure until now. Ao Qingyu said, this is what Ao Lai told me. He asked me to persuade you. I still want to try. Jiang Changkong said, if it doesn't work, I'll open another world. Even if the world opened at that time was not as good as the current Heaven Realm, it was fine as long as it could accommodate saints. He wanted to establish a holy land and sweep away all obstacles. As long as his friend could comprehend the Tao in the sacred land and reach primordial chaos, it would be fine. At that time, He would be able to leave this place without worry and pursue a higher realm. He would be able to search for the ancient immortal gods that had left. Ao Qingyu fell silent. She didn't understand why he still persisted. Over at the heaven realm, it was still the same battle, but now it had become a never-ending battle. It was no longer a battle during the day and a truce at night. Even if he hid within the barrier, an immortal venerable would break it open. Countless immortals of the three courts perished, but the three courts' celestial emperors never appeared. The demon emperor formed a line of defense and blocked the mutated army of the heavenly court. On the immortal court side, the impersonator Yang Yushu was also extremely powerful and was also supporting the defensive line. The celestial court, on the other hand, was completely defeated. They could only use the lives of immortals and gods to make up for it. The sky trembled. More immortals and gods returned. This time, the heavenly Tao did not celebrate, nor did it appear as if it did not know. Yang Mo and the other 36 made the heavenly Taos wonder what these ancient descendants really were. The immortal gods returned and joined the heavenly courts, causing the heavenly court's combat power to increase greatly. These descendants of the immortal gods were not weak. It was just that their immortal supremacies were slightly weaker. The strongest was only a late-stage immortal supremacy. The demon emperor hated these descendants of immortals because they were worthless and didn't have the power of heaven. After crushing the mutant army, the demonic emperor led the demonic beasts to retreat. In the sky, the three celestial emperors gathered together, and there was a trace of faintly discernible saintly might on their bodies. Congratulations to the two of you for peeking into the divine path. The demon emperor smiled. Demon emperor, aren't you the same? The heavenly emperor of the immortal court and heavenly emperor of the god court laughed at the same time. They had all glimpsed the divine path. Even though it was only a sliver, it still meant that they had already opened the door to the saint plane. As long as they had more power of heaven, they could truly become saints. Immortal emperor, where did you find the fake Yang Yushu? The divine court celestial emperor suddenly asked. The heavenly emperor of the immortal court said mysteriously, "Speaking of which, where did Jiang Changkong go? Why did he suddenly leave?" He hadn't expected Jiang Changkong to run away for no reason at all. When he couldn't find him, he could only find someone else to replace Jiang Changkong. I couldn't find him either. The demon emperor shook his head and said, I couldn't contact Venerable Zhan Xian either. He might have gone to the primal chaos again. It's good that he went to the primal chaos. I really should thank him for impersonating Yang Yushu and allowing me to borrow the name of an ancient immortal god. The heavenly emperor of the immortal court laughed. The divine court celestial emperor said faintly, You must be careful, demon emperor. That second brother of yours has many demons following him. Dongwang Changyue? I have his weakness. The demon emperor said confidently, With a word from me, his identity as the demon emperor will immediately become a joke. Since the demon emperor has such thoughts, I won't say anything more. The divine court celestial emperor smiled faintly and said, When do we destroy the heavenly court? Wait a little longer. The divine path is already in front of us. The divine path is more important. The heavenly court celestial emperor said, Yes, wait until the last moment and kill the heavenly court celestial emperor. Who knows, he might become a saint immediately. The demon emperor said solemnly. The three celestial emperors discussed for a while more before dispersing. The demon emperor below, who had destroyed thousands of immortals with a wave of his hand, looked up at the sky. He felt three powerful auras passing by. It's the demon emperor and the others? They are not willing to end it, even now. Are they really waiting for me to reach the limit of immortal venerables? I still lack more than 10 million essence, energy, and spirit. It's not a lot, and I can quickly accumulate it. Boom! The peak of Mount Buzhou suddenly shook. Endless chaotic turbulence surged, and an ancient aura awakened from the void. A terrifying divine aura swept across Mount Buzhou, and all the major races were shocked. Within the Dragon Egg world, Jiang Changkong's three eyes twitched at the same time, and a palpitating feeling came. The remnant soul Lu Gan trembled. This is a sage has appeared? No, if there were still sages in the heavenly realm, they would have appeared long ago. Jiang Changkong stepped out of the dragon egg world. Ao Yin, Peng Jiuqian, and other peak immortal venerables also arrived. A huge vortex appeared above Mount Buzhou, and a tyrannical aura spread out from the vortex. An ancient and desolate aura spread out from the vortex. What is this? Does anyone know? Jiang Changkong asked. Ao Yin shook his head and said, No, the ancient immortal gods did not leave behind any information about this vortex. Well, now once we go in and take a look. Peng Jiuqian transformed into his true form and flew into the vortex. Screech! Another cry rang out, and a phoenix flapped its wings in the scarlet flames. Roar! A roar rang out, and a glistening qilin covered in golden flames stepped through the air. The aura of an immortal venerable spread out from their bodies. Jiang Changkong was shocked. These two races are here as well? Are there any other races? No. Ao Lai shook his head, turned into a fiery true dragon, and entered the vortex. Jiang Changkong glanced at the phoenix and qilin, then turned into a ray of light and entered the vortex. Boom! Suddenly, a majestic power swept over, and a palm suffused with immortal light pressed toward his face. Jiang Changkong raised his palm, and the two palms collided. Bang! With a majestic palm force, Jiang Changkong's body floated down, and Peng Jiuqian and Ao Yin also retreated. 3 figures, 2 men and 1 woman, appeared in the vortex, and they looked at them with disdain. Immortal essences? Jiang Changkong's expression turned cold. Why would immortal essences appear here? It's been a long time, 3 races. An ethereal voice sounded, and the woman said coldly, After so many years, I can still see the immortal venerables of the 3 races. How nostalgic. A young man left the vortex and landed on Buzhou Mountain. This is Buzhou Mountain? Do the 3 races still remember my name? Immortal Annihilation? Another man also landed, and his baleful aura surged into the sky, and his murderous intent was terrifying. You are immortal essences that have lived since the ancient era? The heavenly book of justice appeared in Jiang Changkong's palm. It was indeed immortal essences, and they were very valuable. The woman glanced at Jiang Changkong and said in surprise, There is actually a heavenly book of justice? Even the immortal venerables of the heavenly realm can enter Buzhou Mountain? How did you come in? Ao Yan's expression was cold. Immortal essences actually appeared in Buzhou Mountain, and he did not know how many there were in the vortex. Come in? We have never gone out. Chapter 787. Attack! Ao Yan shouted coldly. Lightning fell from the sky and killed the 3 immortal spirits. The qilin, Peng Jiuqian, and Phoenix followed closely. 4 against 3. Jiang Changkong did not attack and just watched. If 4 peak immortal venerables could not take down 3 peak immortal venerables, it would be a joke. Jiang Changkong rushed into the vortex again. He wanted to go in and take a look while they were fighting. Boom! Immortal light shone again, and another palm appeared. Jiang Changkong snorted coldly and activated the chaotic golden body. Boom! Crack! The sound of bones breaking rang out, and a figure flew out. Jiang Changkong finally stepped into the vortex. Inside the vortex was a gray, chaotic space. There were groups of palaces and immortal spirits moving about. The immortal venerables had a solemn expression and were recovering from the injury on his arm. The 3 immortal venerables could not stop him and could only let him enter. Chaotic divine power surrounded him, and Jiang Changkong could clearly feel that the sage aura had become stronger. Be careful. There might be a sage hiding here, Lu Gan said. Now that the reincarnation disc was not here, if a sage appeared, he might really be killed. How dare you barge in? A cold voice sounded. The young immortal venerables recovered from his injuries. Thousands of rays of immortal light shone through the gray chaos. I have killed countless immortal spirits. Today, I will kill you again. Jiang Changkong took a step forward, and immortal array patterns appeared in the gray chaos. The sage aura strengthened again, wanting to suppress his strength. If you dare to enter, only death awaits you. A hint of joy flashed in the young, immortal venerable's eyes. These immortal arrays, together with the sage aura, even a peak immortal venerables would be weaker. Boom! The two palms collided again, and Jiang Changkong's body sank a little. The young immortal venerable's eyes were cold, and dense killing intent drowned Jiang Changkong. It seems that you only have this much ability, Jiang Changkong said disdainfully. A vast divine might rose from his body. The terrifying divine might spread out with Jiang Changkong as the center. The influence of the sage aura dissipated, and the immortal array patterns shook, showing signs of collapsing. Panga divine might. Jiang Changkong's primal chaos divine energy also transformed, shattering everything. Chaos demon god. The young immortal venerables was shocked. This was the pressure of a chaos demon god. Under the illumination of the innate divine runes, it was as if a chaotic demon god had awakened, ancient and terrifying. The chaos demon god was ferocious and did not fear the sage aura. Jiang Changkong easily shattered the young, immortal venerable's immortal energy. His right palm was like a sharp blade as it pierced through the young, immortal venerable's body. The runes of the immortal array suddenly collapsed. In the distance, figures appeared one after another. They were all immortal venerables, and they emitted torrential auras. Jiang Changkong frowned and brought the young celestial venerate out of the vortex. A trace of fear appeared on the young, immortal venerable's face. His immortal light was like a blade as he slashed with all his might. Chi! Jiang Changkong's left hand shattered the immortal light as devilish runes circulated in his palm, containing a shocking divine might. The chaotic divine power poured into the immortal spirit. Jiang Changkong retreated. All the immortal venerables felt the pressure. Jiang Changkong was like an ancient chaos demon god that had returned to the world. Jiang Changkong quickly retracted his divine might and only targeted the immortal spirit, Ao Lai, and the other three immortal venerables. Only then did he relax and return to normal. After dragging the young, immortal venerable out, the heavenly book of justice returned to normal. The heavenly Tao could not interfere in the primal chaos space. Boom! The chaotic divine power covered his body and destroyed all life. Jiang Changkong did not forget to check. There were restrictions in the divine soul of this immortal venerable. He could not search his soul, so he could only kill him. 5 million heavenly powers, 500,000 essences. Jiang Changkong preferred to kill early-stage immortal venerables. He could easily kill a group of them. If not for the chaos demon god's might, it would be difficult for him to kill such a peak immortal venerable. You're not done yet? You will be in big trouble later. Jiang Changkong glanced at the 4 immortal venerables and urged. A strange look flashed in Peng Jiotian's eyes. He did not expect Jiang Changkong to be so strong. Boom! The vortex shook and 3 powerful auras appeared. 3 peak immortal venerables. The 4 immortal venerables panicked. They had the upper hand now. With Jiang Changkong's divine might, they would be able to take him down soon. But now, 3 peak immortal venerables appeared. Ao, Yin shouted, "Hold them back. We have already contacted the immortal venerables in the clan. I will do my best." Jiang Changkong could only say that. Who knew how many peak immortal venerables there were inside? The 3 peak immortal venerables felt the chaos demon god's might, and their expressions were extremely serious. No one dared to be careless. 3 peak grade 8 immortal artifacts appeared. The space above Mount Buzhou was extremely firm. Even immortal venerables could not break it. Jiang Changkong's palms were like blades. His transformed divine power clashed head-on with a peak grade 8 immortal artifact. The chaos demon god's patterns circulated, causing his divine body to be extremely firm. But facing the immortal artifacts that they activated with their full strength, it was still somewhat inferior. The sword and palm collided. A slight pain came, and this immortal venerate was sent flying. Jiang Changkong pushed his divine power to the limit. The special divine power shattered the sword light and sword shadows. His killing intent was strong, and his Tao intent manifested. The great Tao of the sword reigned supreme. Mysterious sword energy and immortal light crisscrossed, blocking Jiang Changkong's palm force. Boom! The three immortal venerables flew back. A unique holy might was added to their bodies, allowing them to not fear Jiang Changkong's chaos demon god's might. Jiang Changkong's expression turned serious. The heavenly eye between his brows opened, and the sinister netherworld opened. A netherworld palace appeared, and the heavenly eye shot out the power of reincarnation. Boom! The three immortal venerables did their best to block, but their bodies were sent flying. Bloodlight interweaved, illuminating Buzhou Mountain. Jiang Changkong sighed in his heart. He still had to improve his mystic arts and Tao body. It was too strenuous to rely on the Golden Crow Celestial Sutra. If he wanted to control the Chaos Demon God's power, just the Golden Crow Celestial Sutra was not enough, even if it was only a portion of the Chaos Demon God's might. An aura that could destroy everything in the world surged. The three immortal venerables joined forces, forming a sword that could destroy gods and destroy immortals. The aura was terrifying. It had already surpassed the peak of immortal venerables and was close to the limit of immortal venerables. With the support of the holy might, their auras became even stronger. Only a limit immortal venerables could block this sword. With a thought, the Lady of Earth's phantom appeared behind Jiang Changkong, and the move of splitting heaven and earth appeared again. The chaotic energy split and dissipated. The void of Buzhou Mountain was distorted. Although the transformed chaotic divine power was not as good as a true chaos demon god's, it was still very terrifying when combined with the move of splitting heaven. Jiang Changkong seemed to have turned into Pangu of the past. In the eyes of the immortal venerables, he continued to enlarge, becoming unable to look up. Boom! The move of splitting heaven descended, and the mysterious power of splitting heaven obliterated everything, vanishing like smoke in thin air. The sword that could destroy gods and destroy immortals was laughably weak. The bodies of the three immortal venerables shattered like mirrors. 5 million essence, energy, and spirit entered his account. Jiang Changkong also expended too much energy and had no choice but to retreat. And the battle of the four immortal venerables was also coming to an end. The three immortal spirits were about to fall. Boom! The holy might suddenly strengthened. Jiang Changkong and the four immortal venerables retreated at the same time. The three immortal spirits turned into light and returned to the vortex. Jiang Changkong rubbed his forehead. Kill yourselves. 4 against 3. How can we let them escape? Ao Yan's face turned red. Old Dragon is about to kill him. Us too. If not for the holy might, they definitely can't escape. The other 3 immortal venerables said solemnly. No need to explain. Jiang Changkong turned into light and left. I'll leave first. I need to go back and rest. Don't worry, fellow Taoist Jiang. We definitely won't let the immortal spirits rush out. Ao Yin and the other immortal venerables guaranteed. Chapter 788. In the Dragon Egg world, Jiang Changkong absorbed the Khanate spirit energy to recover his divine power. Little Dragon King and Ao Qingyu walked over and looked at him worriedly. Jiang Changkong suppressed his recovery and smiled faintly. Don't worry, I just killed 4 immortal spirits. Immortal spirits? Little Dragon King's mouth gaped. Immortal spirits attacked? No, it should be the immortal spirits hiding on Mount Buzhou. Jiang Changkong thought about it and decided not to hide it from them. He told them everything. The other true dragons gathered over as well. When they heard about this, all of their faces changed in fright. It's just immortal spirits. After killing them, there will be a reward of heaven power. That's a good thing, Jiang Changkong said. The dragons did not believe his nonsense. Hoodoo had left behind information about how powerful immortal spirits were. They would not be so hot-headed as to rush to their deaths just for the power of heaven. Jiang Changkong asked, how much do you know about the immortal spirits left behind by Hoodoo's sage? We only know that the immortal spirits killed by Huda Sage are almost extinct. Immortal spirits are very dangerous and terrifying. She told us not to look for immortal spirits. An immortal emperor dragon said, "Why didn't she tell you to look for immortal spirits?" Jiang Changkong frowned. He recalled Tai Bai Jinxing's words. She also told them not to look for immortal spirits. I don't know. The dragons shook their heads. Go back first. I'll go take a look after my main body recovers. Jiang Changkong waved his hand. Recover well. Sea King, let's go. Little Dragon King and Ao Qingyu left. Only then did Jiang Changkong stop suppressing it and let go of the Khanate spirit energy. The Khanate spirit energy here was endless. There was chaotic aura constantly being converted, so he did not have to worry about absorbing it. As his divine power recovered quickly, Jiang Changkong pondered if he should improve his mystic art and Tao body. Now that immortal spirits had appeared on Mount Buzhou, there were still many immortal spirits in the vortex without the reincarnation wheel. With his current strength, it would be difficult to deal with them. The demon emperors accumulated the power of heaven outside. He could make up for it by killing them. Before he perfected the Golden Crow Immortal Sutra, he had to improve his mystic art and Tao body first. Only with strength could one obtain more essence, qi, and spirit. As his mystic art and Tao body improved, the fiend celestial aura in his body also strengthened. The heavenly Tao fragment strengthened him once again, but this time, Jiang Changkong did not gain too much insight into the laws. Just like Pangu, who was created by the ancient immortal gods, he turned into a giant egg and was gestated in the primordial chaos. The green light was like a primal chaos green lotus, pouring all kinds of primal chaos, profound meanings, and demonic god Tao into him. A demon god was a product born from the laws. They themselves represented the pinnacle of the laws. They were also the representatives of the great Tao, the true great Tao, the beloved children of chaos. The heavenly Tao was weaker than them. The chaos demon god was the origin of everything. Everything in the heavenly realm could be said to be related to the chaos demon god. The so-called immortal Tao laws also originated from the great Tao. The true supreme great Tao nurtured everything in the world. Jiang Changkong transformed into a giant egg and felt the baptism and blessing of the great Tao. The azure light and divine power in Shao Qin's body grew slightly stronger. The grand Tao was boundless, the chaos was boundless, and it existed eternally, undying and indestructible. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. The power in Jiang Changkong's body became even more wondrous. Lu Qin once again benefited from it. His special aura also became stronger. He looked at his own data. His mystic art and Tao body had both reached the mid-stage Immortal Venerable realm. Jiang Changkong, Peak Immortal Venerable 8th Revolution Mystic Art. Initial Success, 1/12. 5 million Khanate Chaotic Tao body. Initial Success, 1/12. 5 million Golden Crow Immortal Sutra. Full Success, 1/39. 062 5 million Essence, Spirit, 22. 33 million the mid-stage Immortal Venerable Mystic Art and Tao body increased Jiang Changkong's strength again. As a celestial venerable, even if his divine might was useless, he could still easily kill 3 peak celestial venerables, even if they had peak 8th grade immortal artifacts. He hesitated for a while and decided not to use the remaining essence, energy, and spirit. He was still more than 10 million away from the celestial venerable limit. Hopefully, he could gather it soon. Jiang Changkong's divine power surged and recovered. He stepped out of the dragon egg world again. A golden barrier was set up by the dragon, phoenix, qilin, and great golden-winged rock races, sealing the chaos vortex. Seeing Jiang Changkong arrive, Ao Yin said, "Fellow Taoist Jiang, have you recovered?" "I have. How is your investigation of this place in the past 3 days?" Jiang Changkong asked. "The immortal spirits inside are very strong, and there are many celestial venerables. They tried to rush out a few times, but we blocked them. However, Every time we wanted to kill them, the sage might would strengthen, and we could only watch them escape. The group of people said somewhat gloomily. Many celestial venerable from the 4 races came, ranging from early-stage celestial venerables to peak celestial venerables. Have you investigated inside? Jiang Chankong's expression was slightly grave. Can you confirm if there are any sages inside? Sage might could be revealed with sage artifacts, but it did not necessarily mean that there were sages inside. Even now, no sages had appeared. Jiang Chankong already suspected that there were no sage experts inside this vortex. Peng Jiuqian shook his head and said, "We can't be sure. We tried to attack inside, but it was full of immortal arrays, and the sage might was even stronger inside. We could only retreat." The 4 races tried to attack, but they could not deal with the sage might and immortal arrays. After entering, their combat strength was greatly reduced. Fighting inside the vortex was disadvantageous to them. "Let's go in and take a look." Jiang Chankong thought about it and said, "Taoist Jiang, don't be rash. There are many dangers inside, and if you're not careful, you might die." Ao Yin said solemnly, "But we can't go on like this." Jiang Chankong looked towards the 4 races. "Do any of you have sage artifacts?" The 4 races shook their heads at the same time. "If we had sage artifacts, we wouldn't be afraid of the sage might and immortal arrays. We would have charged in long ago. I will be careful. All of you, pay attention to the outside." Jiang Chankong thought about it and said, "We will go in with Taoist Jiang. With Taoist Jiang's god might, we won't be afraid of the sage might, and we can use our full strength." Ao Yin said, "Let us go." The 4 celestial venerables walked over. "No, this barrier still needs you to maintain it. If after we enter, celestial spirits charge out, this barrier won't be able to hold on." Peng Jiuqian said solemnly. Jiang Chankong said, "1 celestial venerable will follow me in. The other 3 will stay behind. This time, we're just going in to scout the situation." The 4 races looked at one another and felt that it was feasible. The dragon race's celestial venerable Ao Jin entered with them. A gap opened up in the golden barrier, and Jiang Chankong entered first, flying towards the whirlpool. Apart from Ao Jin, the 4 races each sent a peak celestial venerable to follow him in. They stepped into the whirlpool once more. This time, there were no palms to stop them, and there were blurry, chaotic energy currents inside. Jiang Chankong's 3 eyes pierced through the chaos and looked at the situation inside. Boom! In the chaos, the celestial formation patterns appeared and blocked the divine light. A celestial Tao law pressed down. Jiang Chankong flicked his finger and shattered the law power. The demon gods might swept out, and the sage might dissipated. Rumble! Many sword lights appeared in all directions, and they were no weaker than the celestial vanquishing sword from before. "Be careful." Ao Jin's expression sank. A golden dragon pearl appeared and released a barrier to protect them. Jiang Chankong charged out of the barrier and activated the chaotic golden body again. The special god power and demon god Tao patterns flowed and struck the sword light. Boom! The sword lights collapsed one after another. Jiang Chankong quickly rushed into the chaos and tore apart the celestial formation. Chapter 789. His hands tore the immortal formation apart. In the gray space, an immortal venerable had been waiting for a long time. An extreme sword energy instantly arrived. Jiang Chankong formed a sword with his finger and pointed at the sword chi. Buzz! The sword energy was sharp. Jiang Chankong retreated. This was an immortal venerable. His transformed divine power surged, manifesting boundless chaos and containing the sword energy. Boom! The divine power was shattered by the surrounding sword light. Drops of chaotic blood flowed out of Jiang Chankong's fingertip. The immortal venerable retreated a few steps and looked at him seriously. He did not attack again. As the immortal venerable appeared, the surrounding sword light was not as strong as before. The injury on his fingertip healed in an instant. Jiang Chankong's expression was indifferent. The immortal spirit has been hiding for so many years. You appeared now, just to hide again? Why are you so impatient? We have time to play slowly. The immortal spirit smiled with a cold gaze. Since you can't wait to die, I will fulfill your wish. Tens of thousands of divine powers surged. Who knew how many immortal venerables were hidden in the immortal formation? Jiang Changkong thought that he should be able to easily kill this immortal venerable with sky-splitting technique. Kill. After making up his mind, Jiang Changkong activated his divine power again and enveloped the immortal spirit with his palm. Since he was here, he could not return without achieving something. He had to make up for the essence, chi, and spirit that he had used to break through had to be replenished. Capturing one at a time was also a gain. The divine power was like a dragon, boundless chaos, and the might of a demon god enveloped the entire place. The sage might spread out, and the pressure from both sides offset each other. Jiang Changkong fought against the immortal venerable, while Ao Jin and the other experts of the four races rushed into the immortal formation. There was hidden killing intent in the immortal formation. The immortal venerables had already prepared their ultimate moves. Rumble. The vortex shook, and chaotic air currents were shot out. All sorts of celestial lights flashed, illuminating the space. The experts of the four races outside waited solemnly. Once they called for help, they would immediately go in and provide support. The palm and sword collided. The immortal venerable, coupled with a peak grade 8 immortal artifact, was already the limit of the world. Only an immortal venerable with a sage artifact could suppress him. Even Ao Jin, who was at the peak of the celestial venerable realm, did not dare to say that he could defeat him. A pair of demon gods' hands collided with a top-notch grade 8 immortal artifact. Although it was slightly insufficient, the other party was also wary of his divine power. The immortal Tao laws, the profound truths of the great Tao, were revealed in battle. Tens of thousands of divine inscriptions were like the awakening of a demon god, returning from the beginning of time. Immortal light converged into one, the pinnacle of the sword Tao, the profundities of the nomological laws, and the primal chaos. Both sides seemed to be the incarnation of primal chaos, but their paths were different. Jiang Changkong was walking the path of a chaos demon god, transforming into a chaos demon god. Immortal spirits were originally primal chaos beasts. Unfortunately, they were unable to transform, unable to become primal chaos fiend gods. Thus, they transformed into immortals. However, their essence was still there. They could swim freely in the primal chaos and were still the favored children of the primal chaos. From the looks of it, they were more like primordial chaos realm immortals, but their strength was far inferior. As the long sword descended, the sword mark tore through the defense. However, it was unable to break through the demon god Tao pattern. The divine force was special, passing through the immortal light. The immortal spirit was similarly injured, and it was even more serious. As expected of the heavenly god of justice, he is truly powerful. The immortal spirit's eyes narrowed slightly, and the immortal sword exuded a monstrous, murderous aura. Young Erling was not much stronger than you back then. Thank you for the compliment. I will not go easy on you. Jiang Changkong stood with his hands behind his back, and the divine force in his body surged as he secretly activated the sky-opening technique. Compliment? Yang Erlang was also injured by my sword back then. The immortal spirit sneered, and the immortal sword flew out of his hand. A monstrous, murderous aura surged into the sky, and the murderous aura broke through the primal chaos. Immortal execution. Monstrous, murderous aura, boundless, murderous intent. Mountains of corpses, seas of blood, and the scene of countless immortals dying appeared. This was the immortal sword that the immortal spirit nurtured with the lives and blood of countless immortals. This sword is an imitation of the heaven realm's immortal execution. It was watered with the blood of countless immortals in the heaven realm, and now you. The immortal spirit had an arrogant expression, and his murderous intent enveloped Jiang Changkong. At this moment, he turned into a killing sword that could change the expression of the heavenly Tao. Then, you have really met your match. Jiang Changkong raised his right palm, and the demonic patterns, divine power, and azure light combined into one. Sky opening technique. This time, there was no projection of Lady Earth. Instead, there was a huge, new figure of a demonic god. Its towering body was endless and indestructible. Its hair was like a dragon, and an ancient aura exuded from it. The demonic god's face was exactly the same as Jiang Changkong's. A true demonic god sliced through the chaos and split open heaven and earth. Pangu, the immortal spirit, was shocked, and his sword paused. He remembered this sky-opening aura and mysterious power deeply. Back then, Lady Earth had used the sky-opening technique. That terrifying power, that supreme divine might, made the entire chaos tremble. He still remembered that move. Just looking at it from afar had severely injured him, and he had to recuperate until now. Boom! The 8th grade immortal artifact shattered, and the sky-opening power penetrated the immortal body and quickly spread toward the immortal formation. Jiang Changkong took this opportunity to grab the immortal spirit that was not dead yet and rushed out of the vortex. With the power of heaven in hand, the immortal spirit died. Luckily, I made it in time. Jiang Changkong heaved a sigh of relief. If he did not make it in time, he would have worked for nothing. He rushed into the vortex again, and the immortal formation had already shattered. The immortal spirits were injured on the spot under the impact of the sky-opening power. The holy might strengthened again, wanting to force them back. Jiang Changkong pushed the demonic might to the limit, and his divine power enveloped the 2 severely injured immortal venerables, wanting to grab the other immortal venerables. His heart tightened, and it started beating violently. Lugan also sensed it. Go now, go! Jiang Changkong gave up on the other immortal venerables, turned around, and left. Ao Jin hurriedly rushed out of the vortex with the peak immortal venerables. Boom! The terrifying power still appeared. Jiang Changkong was sent flying like a star, smashing through the golden barrier and crashing into the rocks of Mount Buzhou. Bang! The rocks exploded, and the divine body cracked. Chaos blood splattered, and he looked miserable and pathetic. Fortunately, the 2 severely injured immortal venerables he captured were not saved, allowing him to obtain the power of heaven. Taoist Jiang. A group of people hurriedly went forward and helped him up with concern. I'm fine. I'm just severely injured. Give me some creation mystic light. Jiang Changkong stood up and shook his head. Ao Jin took out the creation mystic light and handed it to him. He asked solemnly, was that a sage just now? I didn't see clearly. Jiang Changkong's face twitched. This time, he was really aggrieved. He did not even see his opponent clearly and was directly beaten out. Taoist Jiang, heal first. We'll talk after you've recovered, Ao Yin said. Jiang Changkong said solemnly, you have to be careful, that thing might rush out. The 4 immortal venerables had grave expressions as they raised the barrier again. Jiang Changkong was an existence that could kill a peak immortal venerable, but he was actually severely injured. Even their barrier was broken. If it rushed out, even if they joined forces, they might not be its match. Jiang Changkong sat cross-legged, absorbing connate spiritual energy and healing with the creation mystic light. He contacted Lu Qian. Did you see clearly what power it was? I didn't see clearly, but the other party's strength is extremely terrifying. Even if you join forces, you might not be its match. Lu Qian said solemnly. I know that, but we have no other way out now. We can't escape. Take the reincarnation disc back. It's more dangerous here, Lu Qian said. Jiang Changkong fell silent. He was not strong enough now. With the reincarnation disc and the power of opening heaven, he might be able to fight, but the demon sovereign was not strong enough either. Chapter 790. Why did Hutu ask him to come to Buzhou Mountain? Now that someone he couldn't beat had appeared, he couldn't run even if he wanted to. Jiang Changkong was a little depressed. They couldn't leave Buzhou Mountain. If that thing came out, only death awaited them. What if I can't get the reincarnation disc out of Buzhou Mountain? Jiang Changkong said worriedly. Lu Qian. That was really possible. What if the remaining murderous aura of the reincarnation disk brought him into Buzhou Mountain? Even with the reincarnation disk, Jiang Changkong might not be able to defeat that terrifying existence. That strong sage aura, even if it wasn't a sage, it shouldn't be much weaker. From the power just now, the possibility of it being a sage artifact is extremely small, Lu Qian said solemnly. If it was a sage, it should be able to kill me. Half-step sage? Jiang Changkong pondered. Lu Qian was silent. He didn't dare to make a rash conclusion. Jiang Changkong wondered if he should go in and take a look. Why isn't he coming out? Jiang Changkong frowned. The power just now was definitely enough to wipe them out, but the other party didn't appear to kill them. If he could kill them, he would be able to exterminate the 4 races and the 4 races left by Hoodoo. Lu Qian still didn't say anything. He knew that Jiang Changkong didn't want to give up. Jiang Changkong didn't say anything else and focused on healing his injuries. His injuries were a little serious this time. Fortunately, the creation mystic light was miraculous and allowed him to recover quickly. The immortal venerables of the 4 races guarded the barrier strictly. 3 days passed, but the immortal spirit in the vortex still didn't appear. Jiang Changkong had also recovered from his injuries and recovered to his peak condition. He sensed his secondary body and learned about the heavenly realm. It was still the same. The power of heaven accumulated in his secondary body wasn't enough for him to complete the Golden Crow Immortal Sutra. The reincarnation disk had done many miraculous things and suppressed the changes in the heavenly court. He couldn't take it back. Arriving in front of the barrier, Jiang Changkong felt the sage aura. I'll go in again. Everyone, defend well. Taoist Jiang, it's very dangerous inside. I was seriously injured before. I don't know if I can survive if I go in again. Oh, Jean said solemnly. I can't let the immortal spirit exist just like that. Since the other party hasn't charged out, it's clear that he has some misgivings or some special reason. Jiang Changkong said gravely, I will go in and take a look. If there is any danger, I will come out. We'll go with fellow Taoist Jiang. A.O. Jean said. There's no need. I'll go in and take a look. Jiang Changkong stepped into the barrier and entered the vortex. It was still a blurry chaos. Jiang Changkong activated his Fiend Celestial Tao Might again. That palpitating feeling didn't appear, and the terrifying sense of danger also disappeared. After entering the primordial chaos, the immortal formation was activated again, and tens of thousands of sword radiance shot out. Jiang Changkong shattered the sword light and tore apart the immortal array. He saw a peak immortal venerable again. Kill! A cold voice rang out, and another 5 peak immortal venerables appeared in the surrounding immortal arrays at the same time. They fused with the immortal array and their strength soared. Jiang Changkong quickly retreated. The immortal lights of the 6 immortal venerables interweaved and weaved into a mysterious net that enveloped Jiang Changkong. Are you waiting for me to come in? Jiang Changkong snorted coldly. He activated his primal chaos golden body, and the power in his body surged. His Fiend Celestial Tao patterns appeared. Rumble. The immortal net shook and collapsed. Boundless immortal light continued to interweave. Thousands of sword lights descended from the immortal king. Jiang Changkong shattered the sword lights with a palm and grabbed the immortal net with both hands. However, a terrifying sword energy surged out from the immortal net and cut his hands like threads. Die! 6 cold shouts sounded. The immortal power of the 6 immortal venerables gathered and fused into one. The 6 peak immortal venerables worked together. At this moment, the power of the sword lights increased crazily, and the immortal array also injected power. Jiang Changkong's pupils constricted. The power of this sword light faintly exceeded that of a peak immortal venerable. Without hesitation, he used heaven splitting again, boundless fiend celestial manifestation, ancient intent, heaven splitting mighty power. The sword lights were defeated, the immortal king was torn apart, and the 6 immortal venerables were injured at the same time. Immortal armor burst out from their bodies. However, this immortal armor was also extremely fragile. The power of heaven splitting shattered the immortal armor and broke the immortal body. With a flip of his palm, Jiang Changkong suppressed 3 immortal venerables. Just as he was about to touch the remaining 3, that heart-palpitating feeling came again. He hurriedly rushed toward the vortex. The terrifying power descended again. Boom! Jiang Changkong flew out again. This time, it was even worse than before. His immortal body cracked, and a few of his bones were broken. Fortunately, he brought back the immortal, immortal venerables and won 5 million essence, energy, and spirit. After receiving the creation mystic light to heal his injuries again, Ao Jin advised, "Fellow Taoist Jiang, it's better not to go in. Let me recover first," Jiang Changkong said solemnly. Lu Gan pondered in his body and said, "It seems that every time you use heaven's splitting move, that thing only appears." Jiang Changkong thought about it carefully, and it seemed to be true. Could it be that it's only targeting me? Jiang Changkong's expression was ugly. "After I recover, let the people of the 4 races go in and try." He closed his eyes to heal his injuries. The 4 races still guarded the barrier. This time, Jiang Changkong took 4 days to recuperate from his injuries. The demon sovereign had also accumulated quite a lot of power of heaven. In a few days, he would be able to complete the Golden Crow Immortal Sutra and reach the limit. "Fellow Taoists, I have an idea that I need you to verify." Jiang Changkong walked over. "Fellow Taoist Jiang, please speak your mind," Ao Jin said. Jiang Changkong told them Lu Gan's guess. His heaven-splitting move came from Hutu. There was no need to hide it from them. They had all seen it before. Ao Jin pondered and said, "In that case, let's go in and try." 4 peak immortal venerables of the 4 races entered the vortex at the same time with their supreme treasures and a few peak immortal venerables. Jiang Changkong stood in the vortex and did not make a move this time. The immortal formation was still there. 4 peak immortal venerables and peak immortal venerables easily tore the immortal formation apart and fought the immortal spirit. The immortal spirits did not expect that it would be the immortal venerables of the 4 races, while Jiang Changkong guarded the vortex. At first, there were only 7 peak immortal venerables. The 4 peak immortal venerables directly injured 2 and captured 2. The captured immortal venerables were all thrown to Jiang Changkong. He did not stand on ceremony. He directly brought them out of the vortex and killed them on the spot. Rumble. A few powerful auras appeared in the chaos. There were 4 peak immortal venerables and 8 peak immortal venerables. They were all peak 8th grade immortal artifacts. Immortal light interweaved, and the auras of the immortal spirits rose rapidly. Lu Gan's expression darkened. "You can leave now. This power should be just enough for you to use heaven-splitting move." Jiang Changkong pondered and said, "They purposely lured me to use heaven-splitting move? That power needs the power of heaven-splitting move?" "Very likely," Lu Gan said solemnly. "Retreat," Jiang Changkong said. The immortal venerables of the 4 races turned into light and charged into the vortex, no longer thinking about fighting. "Capture him." The immortal spirits shouted coldly and chased after him, wanting to catch up. "I'll satisfy you," Jiang Changkong sneered. He used heaven's splitting move again, and the boundless fiend celestial appeared. The immortal spirits had grave expressions. They knew that they could not stop him, but they still did not retreat. "Slash!" Jiang Changkong shouted and slashed out with his palm. "Retreat!" The immortal spirits' bodies erupted with powerful immortal power, and they quickly retreated. "Farewell!" Jiang Changkong suddenly smiled. A palm force rushed into the vortex, but it was just an ordinary palm. A golden barrier appeared again, sealing the barrier. Chapter 791. Roar. The Qilin roared and strengthened the barrier. The immortal venerables of the 4 races exerted their strength. Jiang Changkong also used his chaos divine power to enter the barrier. Now, he should be sure that the other party wanted him to use sky opening. Otherwise, there was no need for him to use sky opening every time. The other party only came out after using sky opening. Boom! The celestial light landed on the barrier. The barrier shook violently, but did not penetrate. 4 races, you won't live for long. The celestial spirit snorted coldly and left after saying some harsh words. Their power shouldn't be enough to destroy us, Jiang Changkong analyzed. If not for that terrifying power, the celestial spirits shouldn't be able to destroy them. Otherwise, they could just charge out and flatten everything. What should we do now? Just wait like this? The immortal venerables asked. Jiang Changkong pondered. Then let's wait. After a while, he would be able to complete the Golden Crow immortal scripture. At that time, he would take back the reincarnation plate and use its power to kill his way in. The immortal venerables fell silent. They didn't have any good ideas. If the entire race could destroy the celestial spirits, they would have done it long ago. It was just that they didn't know the specific strength of the celestial spirits. There were countless immortal formations inside and terrifying existences that could explode at any time. Aoyan's expression was solemn. They thought that Buzhou Mountain was a pure land and would always be safe. But now, the celestial spirits were here and they couldn't get out. Don't worry too much. These celestial spirits won't dare to act recklessly for now. Maybe when the Heaven Realm Saint appears, they won't be able to rush out. Jiang Changkong comforted. The immortal venerables could only smile bitterly. No one could guarantee such things. I will go back first to see the Dragon King. Jiang Changkong got up and left. They were still experts in their race, so they didn't need to go back. Returning to the Dragon Egg world, Jiang Changkong saw Peng Wanli. Why did you come? It's boring staying in the race recently, so I came to see the Dragon King. Peng Wanli pondered. We are friends. A very good friend. Little Dragon King plucked a feather and said solemnly. Jiang Changkong shook his head. This Peng Wanli was sick, sending feathers again. After finding a place to sit down, Jiang Changkong closed his eyes and rested, waiting for news from his secondary body. He already had more than 26 million essence, chi, and spirit, and he still needed less than 13 million. There was no more movement from the vortex. The immortal spirits did not rush out, and the terrifying existence did not awaken. 10 days later, Jiang Changkong transformed into a streak of light and left the Dragon Egg world. The immortal spirits still hadn't come out. Ao Yin and the others were still guarding the barrier, keeping their guard up against the immortal spirits. Arriving at the foot of Mount Buzhou, Jiang Changkong waited for nightfall. The spirit demon emperor came again. He placed his hand on the barrier and transmitted the power of heaven. Jiang Changkong did not return. Instead, he chose a place to complete the Golden Crow Immortal Sutra. This time, after he reached perfection, he wanted to charge into the whirlpool and grab all the immortal essences. Essence, chi, and spirit, 41 million. After perfecting the Golden Crow Immortal Scripture, Jiang Changkong transformed into a chaotic golden crow and comprehended the great Tao of the Golden Crow. With the support of the heavenly Tao fragment, the demon god aura in Zhang Xian's body grew stronger. One night and one day passed. On the second night, Jiang Changkong successfully transformed. The Golden Crow Immortal Sutra reached the limit, the true limit of an immortal venerable. As long as he was willing, he could transform into a sage. I wonder if the power of heaven will shrink after I become a sage. Jiang Changkong pondered. However, he did not dare to take the risk. If the power of heaven shrank after he became a sage, he would suffer a huge loss. With the power of an immortal venerable and the reincarnation disc, it should be enough. Jiang Changkong transformed into a streak of light and left the place of seclusion. He came into contact with the spirit demon emperor again and injected divine power to increase the spirit demon emperor's strength. With the Golden Crow Immortal Sutra at the limit of the immortal Tao, coupled with his mystic art and unfamiliar Tao might, ordinary peak immortal venerables would not be a match for the spirit demon emperor. After he dealt with the immortal essences, he could let the spirit demon emperor bring the sage artifact to the heavenly courts and take back the stately painting. He did not know if the spirit demon emperor and the others had sage artifacts. As a celestial emperor, he had a deep foundation and many means. It was better to be careful. He absorbed Khanate spirit chi to recover and consumed a peak 8th grade recovery immortal pill. This was given by the spirit demon emperor. During this period of time, the demon sovereign had killed many peak immortal venerables and obtained a lot of pills. After recovering his chaos divine power, Jiang Changkong took the reincarnation disc and ascended Mount Buzhou again. The peak of Mount Buzhou was in chaos. The immortal light destroyed the rocks and trees, slashed apart the immortal array, and penetrated the body of the true dragon. The true dragon wailed mournfully as its soul was shattered. In the distance, the golden-winged rock let out a blood-curdling scream. The Qilin roared, and the phoenix wept blood. Little Dragon King, Ao Qingyu, and Peng Wanli activated their immortal energy and tore through the sword light. They couldn't escape the range of the immortal light. The world of the enormous dragon egg was sealed by a layer of golden, immortal formation, preventing the true dragon tribe from escaping. The immortal light slashed down. The blood of the little Dragon King and the other two splattered high in the sky as they fell down. Don't kill him. This venerate discovered from the soul search that this Eastern Sea's little Dragon King has a pretty good relationship with Jiang Changkong. An immortal venerable calmly spoke. As long as they captured them, Jiang Changkong would be obedient. The giant hand that covered the sky came down, and the might of a celestial venerable made the dragons tremble. The dragon clan's immortal supremacies were being held back by the other immortal spirits. Boom! The dragon egg's barrier was torn apart, and the primal chaos was like a saber, slashing apart the giant hand that covered the sky. The fiend celestial Tao patterns filled the sky, and the terrifying fiend celestial Tao might enveloped the world of the dragon egg. The ancient fiend celestial descended, and its might was not inferior to that of a sage. The dragons and immortal spirits were greatly suppressed. The weak dragons directly fell and sprawled on the ground, unable to stand up. A primal chaos sun flew into the primal chaos world and released thousands of primal chaos saber lights. Wherever the primal chaos saber lights passed, the immortal spirits were cut into two, losing all vitality. Early stage immortal supremacies couldn't even block a single ray of light. Their bodies were penetrated, and their vitality was destroyed. Mid-stage immortal supremacies were instantly heavily injured, and late-stage immortal supremacies couldn't block it. Only immortal supremacies could block the primal chaos saber lights and not be injured. Jiang Changkong, a peak immortal supremacy, looked at him coldly after destroying the primal chaos saber lights. The primal chaos sun dissipated, and Jiang Changkong stood in the sky. Wherever the fiend celestial Tao might pass, the dragon's pressure dissipated, and they retreated to the area below him. Jiang Changkong said coldly, "I didn't expect that I would let you guys charge out after I went out for a while. The immortal supremacies of the four races are indeed quite useless." Acting Dragon King, they suddenly appeared here. The little Dragon King's voice sounded, revealing a trace of weakness and grievance. "Kill them." "All right, my Dragon King." Jiang Changkong smiled indifferently. He circulated his divine power, exceeding the immortal supremacy limit. "Naive little dragons, even Jiang Changkong can't save you guys." With a cold shout, it was another two immortal supremacy limit. The immortal Tao was supreme. "It's you guys who are naive," Jiang Changkong sneered. The 6 paths of reincarnation appeared, and the reincarnation disc appeared in the sky. The majestic sage might reached an unprecedented level under the activation of the primal chaos divine power. It surpassed the immortal supremacy realm, exceeded the limit. Together with the fiend celestial Tao might, it was far above the immortal supremacy. Rumble. The power of reincarnation surged as if the heavens were angry. The heavenly Tao of the netherworld appeared again. Jiang Changkong's heavenly eye opened, and a sinister world appeared. The real netherworld, the 6 paths of reincarnation. The world of the dragon egg was changing, and all the true dragons were disappearing. 6 intersecting passageways connected to the reincarnation disc. Chapter 792. The 6 paths of reincarnation showed its might again, and the netherworld palace reappeared. River of forgetfulness, bridge of helplessness, Yellow Springs Road, Yama Ghost Palace. Mountains of blades, pots of oil, all kinds of netherworld buildings and punishments appeared one by one. It was as if the real netherworld palace had appeared again. Jiang Changkong entered the netherworld palace, the demon god, Tao, might supporting the sage artifact. The sea of fire was the sun divine fire, and the glacier was the moon glacier. The mountain of blades was a ghost blade formed from chaotic divine power, enough to tear apart the defense of a peak celestial venerable. Jiang Changkong, get out here! An angry roar resounded. The peak celestial venerable couldn't shake the divine might at this moment. Boom! The sun divine fire burned, and the celestial venerable's immortal power quickly melted. The boundless sea of fire, supported by the Tao might and sage might, burned the celestial venerables. Jiang Changkong's power of heaven was also increasing rapidly. The immortal spirits below the celestial venerable couldn't even withstand a single punishment. The immortal spirits died one after another. The celestial venerables tried their best to rush out of the sea of fire. The peak celestial venerables used supreme laws to suppress the sun divine fire and strengthen the sea of fire. However, after they passed the sea of fire, they faced the moon glacier. The power of the moon glacier sealed the celestial venerables, and the ice mountains blocked the many celestial venerables. The immortal spirits each displayed their immortal might and shattered the glacier, but there was another one. In a short time, the immortal spirits suffered heavy losses, but they didn't even see Jiang Changkong's face. Jiang Changkong merged into the void. If the netherworld palace didn't break, they wouldn't be able to find him, unless he showed himself. The sun divine fire was also chasing them. The moon and sun burned everything. Jiang Changkong, come out. If you have the ability, fight me fair and square. A peak celestial venerable shouted angrily. Just relying on the sage artifact, what ability is that? Get out here. Your words are really laughable. Jiang Changkong's voice sounded. Why didn't they shout these words when they were besieging him? Their clumsy words couldn't affect him. The peak celestial venerables had serious expressions, and their eyes were cold. They hadn't seen the reincarnation disc before, so they thought that it wasn't with Jiang Changkong. However, when they saw it for themselves, they knew how terrifying it was. However, this sovereign can't be bothered to keep you guys here. There are quite a lot of messes out there. Jiang Changkong snorted coldly, and the reincarnation disc trembled. Netherworld reincarnation. Rumble. Boundless reincarnation power descended like a heavenly river pouring down, and the sky collapsed. Under the terrifying power of reincarnation, the entire glacier melted and the divine flame retreated. The few immortal venerables activated their immortal power to the extreme, and their immortal might was shocking. Whoosh! As the power of samsara bathed the immortal venerates, a layer of their flesh dissipated. The intense pain made them cry out involuntarily. The power of reincarnation corroded their immortal bodies. The river surged. The river of forgetfulness also came, drowning them. Under the suppression of the bridge of helplessness and the power of reincarnation, the immortal venerate was suppressed. The power of reincarnation entered the river of forgetfulness, wearing away at their flesh and blood, obliterating their vitality, causing them to sink into oblivion forever. Jiang Changkong continued to activate the reincarnation disc, releasing the power of reincarnation, a sliver of the might of a great Tao. This was the great Tao of a saint, the great Tao of reincarnation. Under the suppression of the great Tao of reincarnation, the immortal venerables' bodies were cracking, and their vitality was dissipating. When the last immortal venerate died, Jiang Changkong looked at his essence, energy, and spirit. For 1 million, Jiang Changkong, peak immortal venerable 8 transformations mystic art, initial success, 1/12. 5 million Khanate chaotic Tao body, initial success, 1/12. 5 million golden crow immortal sutra, complete success, 39. 062 5 million / 39. 062 5 million essence, energy, and spirit. 6037. 500-inch immortal spirits are still the most valuable. There are also the great golden-winged Peng race, Phoenix race, and Qilin race. Jiang Changkong put away the reincarnation disc, and the 6 paths of reincarnation disappeared. If all 3 races had this harvest, his strength would improve further. The crisis has been resolved. Does anyone know how they came out? Jiang Changkong landed on the ground and asked the dragon race. A chaotic vortex appeared over there, said an old immortal venerable dragon solemnly. Jiang Changkong flashed and arrived in front of the vortex. This vortex was not like the previous one. The reincarnation disc swept past, and the chaotic vortex collapsed, turning into chaotic air currents that surged in all directions. I will go to the other races to take a look. At the same time, inform Ao Jin and the others. Peng Wanli, follow me. Jiang Changkong instructed and left the Dragon Egg world. In front of the golden barrier, the 4 immortal venerables were doing their best to maintain the barrier. The immortal spirits were attacking crazily. These immortal spirits have a way to go to your races. Jiang Changkong arrived and directly suppressed an immortal venerable with a palm. We know, but the moment we leave, these immortal spirits will rush out. Ao Jin solemnly said. Then you guys hold on. I will go to your races to take a look. Jiang Changkong said. Thank you, Taoist Jiang. The 4 immortal venerables heaved a sigh of relief. This way they could be at ease. The immortal spirits looked at Jiang Changkong and attacked even more crazily. Peng Wanli, let's go to your race first. Jiang Changkong used his divine power to carry Peng Wanli and left in the form of light. With Peng Wanli leading the way, Jiang Changkong came to a dense forest. This was where the great golden-winged rocks lived. Now, the great golden-winged rocks were also attacked by the immortal spirits. Jiang Changkong took out the reincarnation disc once more and manifested the 6 paths of reincarnation. The celestial formation dissipated and the 6 paths of reincarnation covered all the immortal spirits. All sorts of punishments appeared once more. The power of reincarnation poured down and wiped out the immortal spirit's life force. Peng Wanli calmed his people down and introduced Jiang Changkong. Many people didn't know that Jiang Changkong was an immortal venerable. The power of heaven increased quickly. Jiang Changkong was both happy and heavy. Many great golden-winged rocks had fallen, and many dragons had also fallen. After recuperating for so many years, they only had so little. If he had returned a little later, they would have returned to when they were on the brink of extinction. Wiping out the last immortal spirit cost 1 million. After breaking the whirlpool, Jiang Changkong brought Peng Wanli and rushed to the Qilin race. The phoenixes were still some distance away and could only be at the back. After arriving at the Qilin race, Jiang Changkong discovered that there were much fewer immortal spirits. Some immortal spirits had already started to flee back to the whirlpool. The 6 paths of reincarnation destroyed the whirlpool first before suppressing the immortal spirits. They couldn't escape anymore. After wiping out the immortal spirits, Jiang Changkong said seriously, "Move all of them to the dragon race. If they go back, they might break the barrier." Taoist Jiang, we will move here. The peak immortal venerate Qilin brought his people away. Jiang Changkong headed to the Phoenix race again. This time, the Qilin group only gained 4 million. When he arrived at the Phoenix race, the ground was covered in corpses. Many phoenixes were fighting with the immortal spirits. However, there were very few immortal spirits. Most of them had already retreated. The Phoenix race already had the upper hand. In the 6 paths of destruction whirlpools, Jiang Changkong wiped out the remaining immortal spirits. After giving them some instructions, he quickly returned. Rumble. A terrifying immortal light came from ahead. The immortal energy was resplendent and dazzling. There were also the roars of the 4 races' immortal venerates. Jiang Changkong's expression changed slightly. He quickly rushed back. A golden-winged great rock and a Qilin were dragged into the whirlpool. All the immortal spirits retreated. They gathered their strength to break through here. Jiang Changkong said seriously. Daoist Jiang, please work together with us to seal this place, Ao Jin said seriously. Jiang Changkong frowned. Clearly, they weren't planning to save the Qilin and the golden-winged Great Rock. There was no hope of rescue. If they were dragged in, the immortal spirits definitely wouldn't let them live. He took out the reincarnation disc and manifested the 6 paths of reincarnation, covering the whirlpool. Once they came out, they would be trapped in the 6 paths of reincarnation, unable to escape. Chapter 793. Jiang Changkong guarded the vortex while the immortal venerables of the 4 races returned to the Dragon Egg world to visit their people. The phoenixes only obtained 1,050,000 essences. All added up, it was more than 14 million essences. He first improved his mystic art and turned into a giant egg again. The azure light turned into a chaotic green lotus. He comprehended the endless chaos and turned into a chaos fiend god. With the support of the heavenly Tao fragment, the endless power of comprehension surged into his mind. The fiend god Tao patterns and the fiend god Tao were both strengthening. A huge fiend god phantom appeared behind Jiang Changkong. The fiend god's body was covered in great Tao patterns and an ancient aura lingered around it. It was like a real ancient fiend god, ancient and vast, suppressing the endless chaos. The fiend god Tao power spread out and the void of the entire Buzhou mountain was distorted. It felt unbearable. The immortals of the 4 races were all shocked when they sensed the ancient power. They obviously knew that it was Jiang Changkong, but the strength of the Tao power had far exceeded the immortal venerable realm. Could it be that he had already become a sage? The fiend god Tao power became stronger and stronger. Jiang Changkong was immersed in the endless chaos. The endless power of chaos and the origin of the great Tao were all revealed at this moment. There was no hidden profundity of the great Tao. Even a pig could become a peerless mighty being in this chaos. The comprehension lasted for 3 days and 3 nights before Jiang Changkong left the chaos. The profundity of the great Tao dissipated, and he woke up with a sigh of dissatisfaction. Jiang Changkong, Peak Immortal Venerable 8 Refinement Mystic Art, Desheng, 1/62. 5 million Khanate Chaotic Tao Body, Initial Success, 1/12. 5 million Golden Crow Immortal Sutra, Perfected, 390. 0.625 million/390. 0.625 million Essence, Energy, and Spirit. 2096860 Boundless Divine Might and Boundless Divine Power. Now, I can go in and take a look. Jiang Changkong stepped into the whirlpool. Boundless divine might swept out, filling the entire primal chaos space. The primal chaos space was shaking, and the primal chaos energy was like a frightened snake, frantically fleeing. The immortal array patterns easily collapsed under the divine power. The hidden immortal venerables were shocked and froze on the spot. The fiend god Tao patterns were like chains, binding and suppressing them. Jiang Changkong is here. A terrified roar sounded. An immortal venerable panicked. Jiang Changkong, you came just in time. The 3 peak immortal venerables shouted coldly and turned into beams of light. However, as they approached, their speed slowed down, and their faces were filled with shock. This was not the limit of an immortal venerable, but a demon god. Furthermore, it was an ancient demon god. Jiang Changkong took a step out. The chaotic space collapsed. This place couldn't endure his divine might. He had surpassed the limits of a celestial venerable and was infinitely close to a sage. Boom! The bodies of the 3 peak immortal venerables exploded, leaving behind only their heads, which were suppressed by Jiang Changkong. The demonic god Tao patterns were like primal chaos divine dragons. They interweaved in the primal chaos space, roaring and releasing supreme divine might. The immortal spirit was wailing. The doomsday had arrived. Even peak immortal venerables were nothing more than slightly bigger ants. One by one, the immortal spirits entered the buildings, activated the immortal array, and hid inside. Jiang Changkong's gaze was indifferent. He looked at the immortal array in disdain and slammed his palm down. It was as if the hand of the heavens had descended upon the primal chaos. Boom! A hole appeared in the immortal array. His palm reached in and grabbed a palace. The palace shattered, and the immortal spirits inside screamed in terror. So, you will also know what fear is. Jiang Changkong laughed coldly. Roar! The immortal spirits let out ear-piercing cries. It was like they were screaming for their lives, but also like they were seeking help. Jiang Changkong allowed them to cry for help. He kept the immortal spirits he grabbed, and his palm streaked across, expanding the hole in the immortal array. Boom! An extremely strong saint might surged up, and the immortal array's patterns collapsed. A terrifying power appeared once more. Jiang Changkong's body didn't move, and he blocked the saint might head-on. The primal chaos surged, and all things were destroyed. All sorts of scenes appeared, and chaos storms blew past. So you aren't that strong. Jiang Changkong took 2 steps back, but he said calmly, if it was a saint, he would turn around and leave. But now, this person was clearly not a saint. The entire primal chaos shook. In the void, a giant palm appeared, followed by a head and 2 legs. His eyes were like the sun and moon, his hair was like a dragon, and his saint might was supreme. He was like a demon god, immeasurable immortal light, eternal saint might. The 2 experts' auras weren't weaker than the other. It's been a long time. An ancient celestial voice resounded, and the great Tao and immortal patterns shone. That was his lifetime's comprehension. The immortal patterns had already transformed into saint might, and his celestial power had already reached half. He was above the immortal Tao and had entered the saint Tao. Half saint. This was an existence that had comprehended the saint realm and transformed into an ordinary existence. There was a terrifying wound on his body, almost splitting his body in half, and there were still remnants of the power of heaven opening. Jiang Changkong's golden crow celestial scripture had reached the limit of the immortal Tao. His mystic art had reached the late stage, and his Tao questions had also reached the mid-stage. At this moment, he was on par with the injured half-saint. If he was at his peak, Jiang Changkong might be much weaker. As the half-saint appeared, the remaining immortal spirits seemed to have found their backbone, and they hid behind the half-saint. A half-saint of the immortal spirits? The power of heaven opening. No wonder. Jiang Changkong understood that the immortal spirits wanted to use heaven opening to stimulate the half-saint to awaken. If Jiang Changkong didn't notice this and kept using heaven opening, it would be the end of the world once the half-saint woke up. However, the immortal spirits didn't expect him to reach this step in such a short time. The half-saint looked down at Jiang Changkong, and his eyes contained immeasurable immortal Tao, the aura of a demon god. You belong to us. Everything originates from the demon god. I didn't come this far from being immortal because of you immortal spirits, Jiang Changkong said indifferently, and the reincarnation plate appeared in his body. If you don't have a sage artifact, then die. Their strength was similar, and with a sage artifact, Jiang Changkong could definitely crush this person. Reincarnation plate. Ho-Tu left the 5 stances of heaven opening to you. The half-saint reached into the void, and a long saber appeared, exuding a strong sage aura. I also have a sage artifact. You can use your life to try the heaven opening technique. Jiang Changkong held the reincarnation plate, and 6 vortexes appeared, and the 6 paths rose again. Great Tao, immortal patterns, and demon god, Tao patterns clashed intensely. The half-saint immortal spirit released a ray of immortal light, and the void tore open, releasing the immortal spirit. Jiang Changkong didn't stop it, and he couldn't. The existence in front of him wasn't any weaker than him. Back then, I killed thousands of immortal spirits. I wonder if your ancestor is among them. The half-saint watched the immortal spirits leave. Jiang Changkong said indifferently, I killed countless immortal spirits. I wonder if your descendant is among them. Boom! The chaotic space tore open, and the 2 half-saints clashed. The saber collided with the reincarnation plate, and sage aura destroyed the chaotic space. The immortal spirit, Great Tao slashed out with thousands of immortal Tao profundities. The demon god, Great Tao, showed the power of the ancient demon god, and the reincarnation plate poured out reincarnation power. The heavenly eye on his forehead activated reincarnation again, and Jiang Changkong was like a reincarnation demon god in the chaotic space. The chaotic space collapsed, and the two appeared at the same time. The great Tao clashed, shaking the peak of Buzhou Mountain. Boundless chaotic lightning fell, but the two didn't feel anything. Immortal light and divine light twisted the space of Buzhou Mountain. The reincarnation plate and the saber clashed continuously. Jiang Changkong discovered that this sage artifact had ancient demon god patterns on it, and it contained the great Tao of metal. Chapter 794. The half-sages fought in the sky above Buzhou Mountain. The chaotic lightning was easily torn apart. The sage artifact blade landed on the reincarnation disc and produced intense sparks. The two sage artifacts stirred up the chaotic lightning and chaotic aura at the peak of Buzhou Mountain. Where did you get this sage artifact? Jiang Changkong blocked the sage artifact. His palms collided, and the great Tao patterns were destroyed and reborn. I was lucky back then and picked up the body of a demon god and refined it. The half-sage snorted. The sage artifact distorted the void, and the great Tao of metal destroyed everything. Boom! The two figures flew out at the same time and landed on the peak of Buzhou Mountain. Jiang Changkong had a solemn expression as the great Tao of the half-sage clashed. The sage artifact, refined by a chaotic demon god, was comparable to the reincarnation disc. The two were evenly matched, but they had a fight to the death. Buzhou Mountain was covered by a barrier, and they couldn't leave. They could only fight to the death. Let me see how much of Huti you've learned. The sage artifact blade floated beside him, and immortal power poured into it. A demon god appeared and released a torrential killing intent. Chaotic golden demon god. Roar! The wind and clouds surged on Buzhou Mountain. The chaotic golden demon god appeared with the support of immortal power. Although it wasn't a demon god at its peak, and was only a sage artifact refined from a corpse, it still had the might of a demon god. Jiang Changkong gripped the reincarnation disc in his right hand, and the demon god appeared behind him. Sky Splitter. It was a demon god that looked exactly like him, ancient, desolate, and eternal. This demon god is actually you. A trace of shock flashed in the half-sage's eyes. Could this person be the reincarnation of a chaotic demon god? If he wasn't the reincarnation of a chaotic demon god, he shouldn't be able to condense a demon god image like him. The mysterious power of Sky Splitter spread out, and the void distorted. Double images seemed to appear on the battlefield. The move of Sky Splitter against the chaotic golden demon god. The reincarnation disc released endless reincarnation. Buzz. The half-sage immortal spirit and Jiang Changkong paused at the same time. The chaotic golden demon god image dissipated and returned to the sage saber form. Crack! Crack! The demon god Tao pattern broke, and the great Tao of metal leaked out from Jiang Changkong's body as if there was a sun hidden in his body. In an instant, it was riddled with holes, chaotic blood flowing out. Cracks appeared on the body of the half-sage celestial spirit. The primal chaos divine energy gushed out of his body like thousands of sharp swords, riddled with holes. Huta didn't find the wrong person. You really mastered the sky-opening, unique skill. The half-sage's body trembled. He slowly turned around, allowing the immortal blood to flow. Jiang Changkong's primordial chaos was also made of blood, and the great Tao of metal in his body had yet to be completely purged. Lit by myriad Taos gold, the half-saint celestial spirit turned into immortal light and fused with the saint artifact saber. At this moment, he was the chaotic golden fiend celestial. Split the heavens too. The apparition of Jiang Changkong's devil god appeared again. It moved the reincarnation disc and used the heavens-splitting ultimate skill. The mysterious power of splitting open the heavens seemed to be both light and dark, profound and unfathomable. Boom! The distorted space returned to normal, as the Saint Artifact's saber pierced through the half-saint immortal soul. The power of heaven creation also pierced through the half-saint immortal soul. The remnant power of splitting open the heavens in the half-saint immortal soul's body sensed it and retreated. Immortal blood and divine blood fell on Mount Bujo. It was unknown if it would smash a large number of immortals to death. It seems like this sovereign has won. Jiang Changkong shouted coldly. He used the reincarnation disc again and circulated his divine power. However, golden light rose in his body and messed up his divine power, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood. The half-saint immortal soul circulated his divine power to suppress the power of splitting open the heavens. You're not much stronger than me. With our strength, it's most likely that we'll die together. Jiang Changkong's expression was gloomy as he used the 8 Revolutions mystic art to suppress the power of splitting open the heavens. I feel that you'll die instead. Jiang Changkong used the reincarnation disc again after suppressing the power of metal. He still had 2 baleful auras. Was there need to be afraid? There was no need at all. The half-saint immortal soul was slightly startled and took out the Saint Artifact's saber again. Clang! The Saint Artifacts clashed, and the great Tao's clashed. Boundless Tao, intense spread out, and the peak of Mount Bujo started to crack. Very good. You want to kill me even if you die? I have the same thought. The half-saint immortal soul shouted coldly and spun the saber with saintly might. Jiang Changkong also felt a headache. He didn't expect this immortal soul to be so difficult to deal with. His move of splitting open the heavens met the corpse of a demon god. It was really depressing. 6 paths of reincarnation, splitting open the heavens 3 styles. Jiang Changkong shouted coldly and used the move of splitting open the heavens again. The half-saint immortal soul's pupils contracted. The great Tao of metal appeared again, and the demon god's silhouette appeared. The power of splitting open the heavens entered Jiang Changkong's body again, and he was injured again. The power of splitting open the heavens in the half-saint immortal soul's body surged wildly. He could no longer suppress the power of splitting open the heavens. Looks like you'll die first. The great Tao of metal entered his body, but it didn't rush out this time. Jiang Changkong used the reincarnation disc again, and saintly might filled the sky. How can you suppress it so quickly? The half-saint immortal soul blocked with the saber and sensed Jiang Changkong's power. He was shocked, and his immortal blood flowed out. The great Tao of metal should be disrupting Jiang Changkong's body and suppressing his divine power. But this time, Jiang Changkong didn't suppress it at all, and the great Tao of metal didn't appear. You want to know? Let's talk after you die. Jiang Changkong snorted coldly and smashed the reincarnation disc down. He ignored his injuries and attacked with saintly might. Clang! The Saint Artifact saber flew out of his hand, and the reincarnation disc smashed into his body. It activated the power of splitting open the heavens in his body and heavily injured the half-saint immortal soul. Blood splattered everywhere. Jiang Changkong had a ferocious expression as he continuously activated the saintly might, and the power of samsara rained down. Boom! The half-saint immortal soul forcefully unleashed its celestial force and forced Jiang Changkong back. It turned into a ray of light and charged at the Saint Artifact's saber. You won't be able to take back the Saint Artifact. The power of samsara scattered and blocked the celestial light. The Saint Artifact saber flew up and pierced through Jiang Changkong's body. The reincarnation disc also flew out and pierced through the half-saint immortal soul. The 2 Saint Artifacts carried the 2 of them into the stone wall under the support of divine power. Old Lu, you're unreliable. This is the first time I've been pinned to a wall. Jiang Changkong contacted Lu Qian in his body. The half-saint immortal soul was also pinned to the stone wall, and the reincarnation disc was draining his vitality. To be able to drag you down with me before I die, my slumber to this day has not been in vain. The half-saint immortal soul was covered in blood. His aura was weak, but he was unusually excited. You'll die before me, Jiang Changkong said coldly. I never thought of returning alive. The half-saint immortal soul sneered. Back then, I was sealed in Mount Bujo for the sake of killing you immortals. Jiang Changkong said in disdain. You can't even defeat me, and you still dare to use such words? You're really thick-skinned. The grand Tao of metal was still flowing in his body, and his divine power was cleansing his body. Jiang Changkong, can't you take it easy? I'm really unlucky to be in your body, Lu Qian said gloomily. Cut the crap. If I die, you won't be able to live either, Jiang Changkong said coldly. Hurry up and help me. What are you rushing me for? Do you want my life? Lu Qian used Jiang Changkong's divine power to suppress the grand Tao of metal. Jiang Changkong held the saber. As long as Lu Qian suppressed the grand Tao of metal, he would be able to pull out the saber. The half-saint immortal soul's eyes narrowed, and he mocked. Don't waste your energy. The grand Tao of metal has already disrupted your divine power. Just wait for your death. Chapter 795. Their Taos interfered with each other's divine power. Adding on the suppression of the sage artifact, it made it difficult for them to control their divine power to clear and suppress the Taos in their bodies. In the end, they would be obliterated by the sage artifact and die completely. However, Jiang Changkong wasn't alone. There was still Lu Qian in his body. Lu Qian was being nurtured by his divine power, and with his consent, he was using his divine power to clear and suppress the great Tao of metal. Seeing that Jiang Changkong was still struggling, the half-saint immortal spirit wanted to laugh. Since he was afraid of death, he shouldn't have fought to this extent. You immortals of the heaven realm are always so afraid of death. The half-saint immortal spirit snorted. Back then, many immortal sovereigns begged for mercy at my feet in order to live. Do you know what I did back then? Jiang Changkong couldn't be bothered with this idiot. He would kill him later. I skinned them and made them into food. You aren't worthy of being called immortals. We are immortals, true immortals. We are the closest to the chaos fiend god. This heaven realm should belong to us. So, you attacked the heaven realm? You were almost exterminated by Hutu? Jiang Changkong said coldly. Exterminated? What a joke. Hutu only won by a hair's breadth. The half-saint immortal spirit snorted coldly. How can Hutu destroy the foundation of immortals? I am very curious. How did you survive Hutu's heaven-opening move? Jiang Changkong said coldly. The half-saint immortal spirit was silent. This matter couldn't be told the truth. Could it be that Hutu didn't take him seriously at all? He was only slightly affected by the residual power of Hutu's heaven-opening move. If Hutu wanted to kill him back then, it would only be a matter of a slap. After sleeping for so many years, his injuries still hadn't healed. Hutu's power was too terrifying. One person almost exterminated immortals. This was a fact, an undeniable fact. If you want a heaven realm, you can open one yourself. Jiang Changkong slowly moved the sage artifact, but you didn't know how to open one yourself and came to attack the heaven realm. You deserve to be exterminated. The heaven realm will belong to us. In the end, you are just food. With a cold harumph, the half-saint celestial soul vomited another mouthful of golden blood. Its injuries worsened once more. You're going to die. Jiang Changkong's face regained some color as he slowly pulled out his long saber. You. The half-sage immortal spirit's face changed. Jiang Changkong had actually managed to pull out the Saint Artifact's saber. How is this possible? He could still use divine power? How did he suppress and purge the grand Tao of metal in his body? Wisps of golden light flew out of Jiang Changkong's body and dissipated into the void. As the holy saber slowly left his body, Jiang Changkong's complexion became redder and redder. His aura also recovered and his vitality became stronger. Under the astonished gaze of the half-saint immortal spirit, the Saint Artifact's saber was finally drawn out. Boom! The might of the demon god, Tao, rose again, and the demon god, Tao pattern shone. The reincarnation disc was supported, and it released the supreme power of reincarnation. I'm not alone. Lu Qian appeared in Jiang Changkong's body and looked indifferently at the half-saint celestial soul, that was engulfed by the power of reincarnation. The chaotic divine power combined with the Tao pattern enveloped the sacred Tao and forcefully suppressed it. Without the half-saint celestial soul support, the might of the saint artifact was far weaker than before. The half-saint celestial soul didn't scream. It didn't fear death. It only felt regret for not being able to kill Jiang Changkong and the four races. It had been asleep for so long, but it still failed the mission. When Jiang Changkong arrived before the reincarnation disk, the half-saint celestial soul was already on the verge of death. He used his divine power to forcefully search its soul. What surprised him was that the half-saint celestial soul didn't have any restrictions. However, it was a half-saint, so it was difficult to search its soul. Jiang Changkong only managed to get some information before the half-saint celestial soul automatically dispersed. The power of heaven was added to his body. Jiang Changkong was a little depressed. The price was the same as a celestial sovereign. How tiring. I'm not even as good as a celestial sovereign. Jiang Changkong shook his head in disappointment. His internal injuries were severe, and the great Tao of metal hadn't been completely expelled. After searching with his divine power and not finding the celestial soul, Jiang Changkong entered the Dragon Egg world. Ao Jin and the other dragons hurriedly greeted him. Senior Jiang. Jiang Changkong's mouth twitched. Let's just address each other as fellow Taoist. Quick, bring me the creation mystic light. Also, the celestial soul should still be in Mount Buzhou. Find a way to find it. Ao Jin brought the creation mystic light and let Jiang Changkong recuperate. After recuperating, Jiang Changkong consumed some grade 8 healing medicine, and his injuries quickly recovered. However, if the great Tao of metal wasn't expelled, his strength would also be affected. Thinking of this, he took out the Saint's Saber. This is refined from the chaotic golden fiend celestial soul's bones. It can greatly enhance the great Tao of metal. Take it and study it. Thank you, fellow Taoist Jiang. Ao Jin and the other great Tao celestial venerables were overjoyed. The chaotic golden fiend celestial soul's bones and fiend celestial Tao patterns were still there. If they had enough comprehension, they might even be able to comprehend the divine Tao. As Jiang Changkong recovered from his injuries, he told them to find the celestial soul. He also gave them the reincarnation disc. With 2 saint artifacts, the remaining celestial soul was not a problem. While he was recuperating, a storm was brewing at the foot of Mount Buzhou. The blood of a half-sage fell. Mount Buzhou did not absorb the blood, but its might shocked a group of immortal kings to death. 2 great Taos, hidden within 2 great Taos. Some grade 7 immortal artifacts were corroded upon contact with the blood. The powerful sage aura and fiend celestial Tao aura made it difficult for some immortal kings to approach. The news quickly spread to the celestial world. The people of the 3 courts all tried their best to get them to bring the blood out. They all guessed that the blood contained sage aura and special divine aura was from a sage. Mount Buzhou was left behind by a sage. A drop of sage blood was extremely attractive to the celestial emperors of the 3 courts. The people of the heavenly court also entered Mount Buzhou to fight for the blood. The Yao sovereign did not let his subordinates do it. The blood of a half-sage was useless to them. If they wanted it, they could give some to their main bodies when they came out. At the peak of Mount Buzhou, the 4 races quickly found the celestial soul. They hid in the territory of the great golden-winged Peng race and started attacking. Jiang Changkong also attacked. Although his injuries had not healed, he could easily suppress ordinary immortal venerables. With the help of the creation mystic light and pills, he would be able to recover to his peak in a month at most. After suppressing the remaining celestial soul, Jiang Changkong did not obtain much essence, energy, and spirit, adding up to 35 million. On the other hand, the war in the heavenly realm was delayed again because of the half-sage blood. The heavenly court also did not send out the mutant army crazily. Instead, they started to retreat as if they were preparing for something. After returning to the Dragon Egg world, the other 3 races did not leave. They stayed here peacefully and waited for Mount Buzhou's barrier to open. Jiang Changkong Check the memories of the half-sage immortal spirit. The contents made his expression turn gloomy. Everyone, I have good news and bad news. Which one do you want to hear first? Jiang Changkong summoned the immortal venerables of the four races and asked calmly, what good news and bad news? The immortal venerables of the four races were puzzled. Jiang Changkong smiled faintly and said, the good news is that the war in the heavenly realm is coming to an end. It should be over soon. How do you know? Then what's the bad news? Ao Jin and the other immortal venerables were puzzled. The bad news is that the heavenly realm might be finished. Jiang Changkong said sinisterly, the Yao the arch that you think is promising is also related to the celestial soul. Chapter 796. At the end of the primordial era, when immortal spirits invaded, the world of immortals was destroyed, the heavenly Tao had collapsed, and the heavenly realm was facing doomsday. Many clans went extinct because of this, until Hutu returned. Hutu repelled the fairy spirits and charged into the chaos, but she didn't completely destroy them. At this time, the power of the celestial spirits had declined, and they had to deal with the descendants of the ancient celestial gods, so they were unable to launch a large-scale attack. They had no choice but to hide in the shadows and support the four celestial emperors. Let the four heavenly emperors become their representatives in the heavenly realm, help them control the immortal realm, and search for some kind of treasure. And these four heavenly emperors are the current heavenly court, divine court, immortal court, and demon court. Jiang Changkong said expressionlessly. The four celestial emperors were all supported by immortal spirits. How? How is this possible? The four clans' immortal venerables had ugly expressions. Peng Jiutian frowned. Fellow Taoist Jiang, you're not making this up to get our support, are you? The map of mountains and rivers of the gods of Earth and Vale appeared a long time ago, but the immortal essence has yet to be cleaned up. Jiang Changkong said indifferently. As for making it up, there's no need. With me around, I can support the heavenly court. The immortal venerables of the four races looked at each other. For a moment, they did not know what to say. The news was so shocking that their heads were buzzing. Right now, the situation in the heaven realm is uncertain. Everything is hard to say, Ao Jin said in a low voice. Don't worry, don't be anxious. You have time to choose. Jiang Changkong said lightly. The situation in the heaven realm should be clear soon. In a few more days, he would improve his Taoist body as well, and then he would improve his demon emperor strength. At that time, a half-step demonic beast emperor, coupled with a sacred tool, would be enough to open the eyes of the heaven realm celestial emperors. The immortal venerables of the four races left. They still had to think about it. Lu Qian was immersed in his divine power. Are you really going to defy the heavens? All this exalted wants to do is to create a holy land for my friends and their descendants to live in peace for all eternity. Jiang Changkong replied, from the beginning to the end, my goal has always been the heavenly Tao. The current heavenly Tao is still incomplete. Even if it wasn't complete, it meant that it was heaven-defying. If the heavenly Tao was complete, he reckoned that he would have to prove his Tao and become primordial chaos before he could forcefully intervene or create a new world. Lu Qian sighed softly. The news you see is also in the past. No one wants to be controlled. So, the monster the Arch and the others wanted to break free from their control, but the heavenly court celestial the Arch chose to continue working with them, said Jiang Changkong. If you were them, what would you do? Lu Qian pondered. I will get rid of all the immortal spirits, Jiang Changkong said resolutely. Lu Qian froze for a moment. Jiang Changkong really was like that. He would kill Xian Ling. Jiang Changkong closed his eyes and focused on healing his injuries. The four races once again developed steadily, but this time they suffered heavy losses, and the four races were all shrouded in a sorrowful atmosphere. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. Jiang Changkong's injuries had yet to fully recover. Even with the creation mystic light and 8th grade healing pills, it was impossible for him to recover so quickly. However, raising the demon emperor's strength was no longer an issue. His Taoist physique had also improved, which could speed up his recovery. He turned into a streak of light and left a look for the Demon Emperor. The Demon Emperor had already gathered enough heaven's power, which was enough to convert 3 million essence, chi, and spirit. When he came to the foot of Mount Buzhou again, the 2 drops of blood had already been taken away. When the sky turned dark, Jiang Changkong received the heaven's power. A figure appeared and condensed beside the Demon Emperor. Second brother, you have been coming here often recently. Is there anything special about this place that is worth your attention? So it's big brother. The Demon Emperor looked at the person and said indifferently, nothing special. I just came to see if the barrier has weakened. The stately painting has appeared for a long time. Now that the stately painting's whereabouts are unknown, it is difficult to get rid of the immortal spirits, which is a big problem. The Demon Emperor sighed. I regret handing over the stately painting back then. The Demon Emperor felt the faint, saintly aura from the Demon Emperor. This big brother of his had already touched the divine Tao, and he did not know how much he had transformed. If it was on par with that half-sane immortal spirit, then it would be troublesome. Big brother, when will we destroy the heavenly court? Asked the Demon Emperor. Soon, the Demon Emperor said indifferently. The Demon Emperor frowned slightly. The Demon Court has suffered heavy casualties, and the other 2 courts have lost more than half of their immortals. If this continues, even if we take down the heavenly court, we will have no one to use. Second brother, there are many immortals in the celestial world that can be replenished, said the Demon Emperor with a cold expression. I do not want you to make the wrong choice. The Demon Emperor's expression was solemn. Big brother, do you really want to use up all the demon race under you before you are willing to destroy the heavenly court? During this period of time, second brother's strength has increased again and again, and you have already experienced the benefits of the heaven's power. The Demon Emperor said indifferently, the divine Tao is right in front of us. If we can achieve the sage great Tao, how many immortals can't we nurture? The Demon Emperor sighed softly and did not say anything. In terms of ruthlessness, he was still not comparable to these celestial emperors. Second brother, think carefully, don't make things difficult for me. After saying that, the Demon Emperor's figure disappeared. The Demon Emperor got up and left. His main body still needed a few days to break through, and there was still a big battle tomorrow. In Mount Buzhou, Jiang Changkong's Khanate chaotic Tao body improved, his divine power and demon god Tao pattern also strengthened. He comprehended the great Tao again and became a demon god. This time, Jiang Changkong was looking at the chaos demon god's divine body. The demon god's body was not weaker than divine power. Even if his divine power was exhausted, the demon god could use his divine body to display supreme killing power. With the help of the heavenly Tao fragment, Jiang Changkong's transformation was completed in 3 days. The Khanate chaotic Tao body entered the late stage. Jiang Changkong, peak immortal venerable 8th revolution mystic art. Desheng, 1/62. 5 million Khanate chaotic Tao body. Desheng, 1/62. 5 million golden crow immortal sutra. Perfected, 390. 062 5 million / 390. 062 5 million essence, spirit, and energy. 1293660. His internal injuries were much better and did not affect his combat power anymore. He would be fully recovered in another 3 to 5 days. He came to the barrier and increased the Demon Emperor's strength again, then sent out the reincarnation disc. The Demon Emperor could sense that the Demon Emperor was secretly watching, but no matter how he thought about it, he could not imagine that Jiang Changkong would be in Mount Buzhou. Mount Buzhou prohibited immortal kings and above from entering, and Jiang Changkong had long become an immortal venerable. The reincarnation disc entered the Demon Emperor's body and went silent. The Demon Emperor sighed and turned to return to the Demon Emperor Palace. The palace was sealed, and the reincarnation disc isolated everything. The Demon Emperor converted the divine power he had just obtained, and the demon god's might filled the palace. At this time, he was a true chaotic golden crow. The cultivation technique changed. The Tao pattern also changed into the chaotic golden crow Tao pattern, and the divine power also transformed into the demon god's power. Of course, it was just an incomplete demon god's power. Now, he was equivalent to a half-saint. Under the demon god's Tao pattern, the golden crow's body was also changing, becoming more suitable for his strength development. The chaos divine stone melted, and he no longer needed the chaos divine fire to strengthen the golden crow's body. The changes were suppressed, and he did not leave the palace. With the saint artifact, even the demon emperor could not pry. On the second day, the demon emperor did not participate in the battle. The demon emperor sent people to urge him, but did not see him. The doors of the demon emperor palace were tightly shut. On the evening of the third day, the doors of the demon emperor palace slowly opened, and Kuan Yu walked in. Demon emperor, why did you not participate in the battle? Because you did not participate, the demon race suffered heavy losses. Get out. Before the demon emperor could speak, Sun Wuxing slapped him, and the demon master Kuan Yu flew out of the demon emperor palace. The demon emperor said indifferently, I will participate in the battle tomorrow. This time, I have just comprehended something and went into seclusion to improve. I, the demon emperor, am prepared to lay my cards on the table. Chapter 797. The temple closed once again. Only Sun Wuxuan, Sun Li, and Sun Yuan were left. Aoyin and Yu Mie were rejected. After all, they were sent by the monster emperor. Looking at these monster celestial emperors and celestial kings, most of them were from Flower Fruit Mountain. Heaven-swallowing python Xian Mie also stayed. Kuan Yu had joined him, so he probably wouldn't go back. Monster Emperor's expression was solemn as he thought about how to speak. Monster Emperor, do you have any orders? Sun Wuxuan asked. Monster Emperor gathered them here. Something big was about to happen. I have decided to attack the heavenly court tomorrow morning, Monster Emperor said in a low voice. Attack the heavenly court? Sun Li was slightly startled. Monster Emperor, are you confident? They failed last time because they couldn't break the barrier and the celestial court's people messed with them. If they could break the barrier and attack before the Monster Emperor and the others could react, they should be able to succeed. A hint of anger and sorrow appeared on Monster Emperor's face. During these days, there have been many battles. The monster race has suffered heavy casualties. If this continues, how many of them will be left? Monster Emperor, Sun Wuxuan, and the others were moved. How could they not know the losses during this period of time? Their Flower Fruit Mountain had lost hundreds of celestial kings and many celestial emperors. Tens of thousands of celestial lords, deities, and heaven immortals had fallen. If this continued, even if they could defeat the heavenly court, there wouldn't be many left. Monster Emperor, the Rogue Cultivator Alliance only has a few hundred people left. Sun Li sighed. This was because they had Monster Emperor to lead them to consecutive victories. For example, if Kuan Yu wasn't the Monster Master, he would have died many times. The Monster Master subordinates were constantly replaced. Batch after batch of them died. The heavenly emperors of the three courts were indifferent. They only saw their own improvement and only cared about their own divine Tao. If they could become saints, they could even destroy the entire heaven realm. I have comprehended a lot during this seclusion and have reached the limit of celestial venerable. Also, I borrowed the reincarnation disc from Jiang Changkong. Monster Emperor took out the reincarnation disc and said calmly, I will definitely attack the heavenly court tomorrow. Today, I ask you, who is willing to follow me? If you don't follow me, I won't make things difficult for you. In the future, we'll walk our own paths and have nothing to do with each other. The Flower Fruit Mountain bloodline swears to follow the Demon Emperor with our lives, without any disloyalty. Sun Wuxuan was the first to speak. I, Sun Li, pledge my life to follow the Demon Emperor and fight our way to the heavenly court. Xian Mie is willing to die for Demon Emperor. The experts of the Demon Clan were also the underlings of the Demon Emperor. The demon's sovereign was gratified, but his expression was solemn as he said, think about it carefully. Once we fight our way to the heaven court, the demon's sovereign might not be able to tolerate us. The mountain of flowers and fruit has always been led by a demon emperor. Sun Wuxuan stood up straight and rested the ocean-pacifying godly iron needle on his shoulder. He said in a sonorous voice, "The demon emperor did not betray Mount Huagua, and Mount Huagua will not betray the demon emperor. We are the same as Mount Huagua. As long as the demon emperor doesn't let us down, we won't leave." Everyone was excited, even though they would offend the demon the arch and might even fall out with him. However, they would also create their own world and open up a new chapter. All right, let's drink to our heart's content tonight and fight tomorrow. The demon emperor took out immortal wine and chaotic beast meat to entertain the demons. The demon imperial palace and the outside were like two different worlds. It was very lively inside, while the outside was oppressive and dull. However, the doors were tightly shut, and no one knew what was happening inside, not even the demon arch. The night passed, and the smell of alcohol filled the air. Sun Wuxuan staggered as he carried the divine, ocean-pacifying needle. "Let's go. We'll fight again today. We obey Marshal Sun's orders." One by one, the demons followed suit. Children of Flower Fruit Mountain, assemble. Itinerant Cultivator Alliance, prepare for battle. The heaven-devouring Python clan, follow the demon emperor to battle. Xianmie's rallying power was limited, but there were still some heaven-devouring pythons following. Especially recently, only the demon emperor had won, and the others had been killed. Many demons had sided with the demon emperor. This time, they didn't know what the demon emperor was going to do, and thought it would be the same as before. Demon Master Kuan Yu's face was dark as he said coldly, "We're going to war with the Heaven Court, but you're all drunk. If you delay the war, can you bear the responsibility? Get lost." Sun Wuxuan opened his mouth, and the wind blew Kuan Yu away. "Go." The voice of the demon sovereign came out from the palanquin. Sun Wuxuan somersaulted and flew ahead on a cloud. Tens of thousands of demons followed behind, with the demon emperor's chariot at the forefront of the demon army. Kuan Yu appeared in the heavenly court with a face full of anger. "Monster Tharch, this monster emperor is so daring. Before going into battle, he let his subordinates get drunk. Go down first. Don't do anything yet." The demon the arch waved his hand. After ordering Kuan Yu to reorganize the army, the demon emperor's expression darkened. "Demon Emperor, I hope you don't make a mistake." Boom! Divine light swept over. A huge chaotic golden crow did not display its demon god Dao patterns or demon god Dao might. It only attacked with the power of an ordinary immortal venerable. At the limit of an immortal venerable, a single thought could wipe out 10,000 miles. The mutated army of the heavenly court could not withstand the divine might of the demon emperor. The war chariots pierced through the air, and the mutant army in the distance began to reinforce them. Yet another lone army, demon sovereign. Do you think your subordinates aren't dying fast enough? Kuan Yu watched from afar, his gaze cold. The chariot stopped in front of the golden barrier, and the demon emperor stepped out of the palanquin. Sun Wuxuan and the others emitted misty immortal light that evaporated the smell of alcohol. "Demon Emperor, please attack the heavenly court." The demons shouted, their voices shaking the 9 heavens. The reincarnation disc appeared next to the demon emperor. An array of reincarnation power landed on the golden barrier. Boom! Like thunder from the 9 heavens, divine light shone brightly and spread across the entire heavenly realm. A huge crack appeared on the golden barrier. Buzz! Resplendent, immortal light shone in the sky, carrying with it an immense, immortal might. It emitted faint, sacred light, as if the heavens were judging them. The demon emperor snorted, and the reincarnation disc protected the demon army. He slammed his palm on the barrier and widened the crack. "Demon children, quickly enter and attack the heavenly court." The demon emperor opened the crack and activated the sacred might of the reincarnation disc. Clang! A loud sound came from the reincarnation disc. The immortal light dissipated, and the sacred might disappeared. A furious roar came from the sky. Tens of thousands of demons entered, but there were even more mutant armies and immortal god corpses everywhere. For the mutant army, immortal gods were the best medicine to replenish their energy. The corpses of immortal gods were piled up like mountains, many of them belonging to the demon race. The demons that had entered were enraged to the extreme, their eyes bulging out of their sockets. "Kill!" Sun Wuxuan shouted, and the ocean-pacifying divine iron pillar swept across the mutant army. The immortal light in the sky didn't appear again. The demon emperor entered the barrier, and the endless mutant army arrived. Boom! A majestic divine might wiped out the mutant immortal gods. All kinds of lights intertwined, and the netherworld was projected in the reincarnation disk. The six paths appeared again, and the reincarnation disk started again. You will fight with the reincarnation disk. The demon emperor stood proudly on the reincarnation disk, and the mutant army around him collapsed. He looked up at the celestial palaces and pavilions in the sky. A majestic aura shook the sky, and the immortal light in the sky shone down, heading straight for the demon emperor. Great sun burns the sky. With a shake of his body, the demon emperor turned into a huge sun, like a real sun god. The golden crow light intertwined in the gray chaos. Many immortal gods were vaporized, and the immortal light disappeared before it could even get close. Chapter 798. Above the firmament, the three heavenly emperors' expressions were gloomy to the extreme. Demon Sovereign, this is your good second brother, the demon sovereign who can turn him into a joke with just a word from you. The divine court's celestial emperor's face was gloomy, and the holy might on his body crushed the void. The demon emperor's expression was ice cold. I miscalculated this time, but is that important? What do you mean? The two celestial emperors' expressions changed slightly. If I don't support him, no matter how strong he is, what can he do? The demon Tharch sneered and said, he will just lead the flower and fruit mountain to destruction. The heavenly emperor of the immortal court was surprised. You are really willing to part with it. Sun Wuxuan of the flower fruit mountain is also inside. Sun Wuxuan was an important member of Flower Fruit Mountain. He was at the peak of the immortal emperor realm and wielded the godly sea-calming needle. The demon Tharch said indifferently, if they are not used by me, no matter how strong the mountain of flowers and fruit is, what does it have to do with me? His cold face was filled with ruthlessness. The gazes of the two heavenly emperors were cold. Then let's see how long this demon emperor can last. Rumble. The great primal chaos sun passed through, and the mutant army evaporated. The celestial light, falling from the sky, dissipated before it could even touch the sun. The limit of an immortal venerable was reached. The golden crow's sharp claws pierced through his body, shattering it. In the netherworld of reincarnation, tens of thousands of demons tore apart the bodies of immortals and used the divine fire of the sun to destroy immortals and immortals. The ocean's steadying godly pillar could crush all immortals and spirits, and none of them could get up. The heaven-swallowing python swallowed the heavens and destroyed the earth, spitting out divine fire. The demon emperor shot out a ray of divine light and killed an immortal venerable. He did not have any immortal venerables among his subordinates, so he could not go too far alone. With a myriad of thoughts in his mind, the demon emperor infused his divine power into the illusory netherworld and charged toward the immortal palace in the sky. The grayish-golden sun emitted immeasurable immortal light. It pierced through the clouds and shook the divine palace. Within a radius of 10,000 li, the mutant army dissipated. The demon emperor slammed his palm into the sky. The palm energy pierced through the clouds and shattered the celestial palace. On the southern heavenly gate, the heavenly temple of justice trembled and was covered in cracks. The Yang family's bloodline was shocked, and they fled in terror. The celestial soldiers and generals guarding the gate were alarmed. A calamity had descended. The demon emperor was attacking. Rumble. The sturdy passageway to the heavens was torn apart by a pair of grayish-golden hands. His long hair was like a dragon, and divine flames curled around him. A golden crow cried out, and his robe fluttered in the wind. The demon sovereign looked at the southern heavenly gate that he had not seen for a long time. Behind him was the reincarnation wheel. In the netherworld kingdom, countless demons were slaughtering each other. The end of the heavenly court has arrived. The demon emperor took a step forward, causing the entire heavenly court to tremble. Doomsday had arrived. The heavenly palace of justice couldn't withstand the divine might and collapsed. The South Heaven Gate cracked open. The legendary gate was unable to withstand the might of the martial dominator beast. One by one, the heavenly soldiers dissipated. The heavenly book of justice revealed their merits and sins. Unfortunately, no one in the heavenly court could be found with merit. Participating in a mutation was a sin of mutation. Even those who did not mutate were basically reduced to food or slaves to serve these mutated immortals. What a pity! How I wish I could give you a way out. With a sigh, the divine fire of the sun burned everything. A grayish-gold divine flame barrier enveloped the wheel of reincarnation. Demon race after demon race slaughtered the mutant army. They held an overwhelming advantage in the Netherworld Kingdom. Those left behind by the Demon Emperor were all people that they could deal with. Buzz. With a buzz, the rift rippled as an immortal ray flew over from the front. Brilliant immortal might and a shocking divine sword tore the rift apart. It had reached the limit of the immortal venerable realm, an immortal venerable of the heavenly realm. The demon emperor pointed forward with a finger. The immortal light shattered, and the divine sword crumbled. Roar! An immortal venerable let out a roar. He had surpassed the limit of the immortal venerable realm. Even though he had yet to comprehend the sacred Tao, he was extremely close to becoming a half-saint. Unfortunately, he had improved through the beasts of chaos. The immortal venerable's figure came to a stop 3 meters away from the demon emperor. The demon emperor said calmly, "I can give you a chance to change, as long as you turn over a new leaf and kill the immortal spirits to atone for your sins." Demon Emperor, the heavenly realm isn't as simple as you think. The immortal venerable yelled coldly. He activated his divine force again. His eyes were filled with a savage aura. Die! The demon emperor sighed. The grayish-gold divine force entered the immortal venerable's body and burned away his life force. He took a step forward with a shocking aura, killing all the immortals that dared to approach him. The immortals were terrified. The mutant army didn't dare to approach him now. The demon emperor's strength had far surpassed the immortal venerable realm. Those below half-saints couldn't stop him. Immortals, retreat. The emperor's voice came from the numinous sky palace of the Golden Arches. A strong holy aura swept over. The demon emperor was shocked. The demon god's Tao aura spread out. Buzz. The 2 Tao auras came into contact. The void shattered and chaotic currents surged in. Demon Emperor, Dongwang Changwei. A golden bridge extended from the numinous sky palace of the Golden Arches and came under the demon emperor's feet. The demon emperor stepped on the golden bridge. The golden bridge collapsed. Your bridge can't withstand my power. Boom! The heavenly court shook. A powerful holy aura rushed out of the numinous sky palace of the Golden Arches. A 10,000-foot emperor's shadow appeared in the sky above the numinous sky palace of the Golden Arches. A chaotic golden crow also appeared above the demon emperor's head. It was 10,000 foot tall and wasn't any weaker than the heavenly court's celestial arch. The holy aura and the demon god's Tao aura clashed again. The two were at the peak of the heavenly court. The celestial thearch's eyes flashed with immortal light. He was cold and emotionless. Dongwang Changwei, look around. Is there a demon emperor? I have tens of thousands of brothers. It's enough to destroy the heavenly court. The golden crow spread its wings. A terrifying heat swept over 10,000 miles. Do you think you can end this chaotic world by leading them to the heavenly court? The celestial arch was indifferent. His divine might became stronger and more terrifying. The demon emperor's expression was cold. You can't block my path. Boom! The shocking divine might clashed. A beam of immortal light spread out from the numinous sky palace of the Golden Arches. The heavenly court's countless immortal palaces shone with immortal array patterns. Many huge immortal arrays covered the entire heavenly court. Immortals stood in specific positions. The celestial thearch's aura became stronger. The demon emperor's Tao aura became stronger. Not only was it not weaker than the celestial arch, but it was even stronger. The golden crow also became more solid. The two of them displayed their strongest power at the same time. The immortal array suppressed the demon emperor. A powerful holy aura combined with the immortal array suppressed the demon emperor. An extreme killing array filled the sky with stars. It was the heavenly cycle star array. "It's this old array again," the demon emperor said coldly. "After so many years, the heavenly realm hasn't improved at all. How disappointing. It's good to be confident, but don't be conceited." The celestial arch shouted. A chaos divine sword appeared and suppressed the starry sky. "Holy artifact! No wonder you're so confident. You have a holy artifact." The demon emperor's eyes narrowed. The heavenly cycle star array, strengthened by a holy artifact, was indeed terrifying. Back then, even if the heavenly cycle star array in the primordial era was stronger than this, it was only because of the demon emperor and demon arch. The celestial thearch's aura rose again. With the holy artifact, he became a half-saint. The celestial arch was definitely not weaker than a half-saint celestial spirit. Of course, it wasn't a half-saint celestial spirit at its peak. A half-saint celestial spirit at its peak meant that it had truly transformed halfway. The painting depicted mountains, rivers, the sun, the moon, and the stars. The holy aura increased again. The stately painting. The demon emperor's expression was indifferent. If he didn't use the stately painting, he really didn't have any good methods. But now, he could summon the stately painting at any time. Chapter 799. The stars in the sky turned into chaos. The sword aura was no weaker than the great Tao of a half-step saint. This sword is suitable for Jiang Chongkong. The monster emperor's body turned into a sun, and the gray-golden divine power collided with the sword aura. "You still don't realize that you've stepped on a dead end?" The celestial arch snorted. The half-step saint power turned into a chaotic galaxy. Boom! The sun shattered, and the sword collided with the chaotic galaxy. The golden crow flew out, and the chaotic golden crow flames burned the stars for billions of miles. Even the monster emperor doesn't dare to come. But you, a monster emperor, dare to be so arrogant. The celestial arch shook the mountain river map, as if he was shaking a world. There was a real world inside the mountain river map, and it was a great world. The power of the world was surging, and all kinds of great Taos were refined. The celestial thearch's cultivation level might be a bit lower than the monster emperor's, but with the help of two divine artifacts and the heavenly cycle star array, even if the three half-step saints came, he might not be afraid. This was also his confidence. He was confident that he could face the celestial arch of the three courts. The monster emperor and the others were even weaker than the celestial arch. The monster emperor kept retreating, and the golden crow blood sprinkled on the heavenly cycle star array. The chaotic divine Tao sword aura tore his body apart and destroyed the golden crow divine fire. Still not summoning the reincarnation disc, the celestial arch swept away the monster emperor again. Endless chaos rose behind him, and a world appeared in his palm. The reincarnation disc guarded the monster race outside and didn't enter the array. If he summoned the reincarnation disc, Sun Wuxuan and the other monster race would die and be killed by the mutated immortal gods of the heavenly court. "I'll summon it now," the monster emperor shouted, and the fiend god Tao power surged and shook the array. A mysterious spell appeared, and a mysterious sensing power spread out. The celestial thearch's expression changed, and the world in his palm crashed toward him. The chaotic power protected in front of him, and the array strengthened him. Boom! The world collided with the celestial arch, and his body flew backward. The entire array shook and became a bit unstable. The mountain river map turned into a world and covered the monster emperor's body. The stately painting was obtained by this emperor at the first moment. The demon sovereign was shrouded in a world. Thousands of great Taos intertwined, and countless wonderful scenes appeared. "I will hand over the stately painting," and I will naturally leave behind some tricks. With the support of the sage artifact, the demon emperor's divine might rose again, breaking through the limit. The heavenly cycle star formation was shaking. What a good plan. You even hid this from the demon arch, right? The injuries on the heavenly court's heavenly emperor's body healed. His gaze was cold as the chaotic airflow cleared away the power of the world. The holy sword of chaos appeared in his hand, and his strength increased. With the support of the formation, he was almost one with the formation. Coupled with the holy sword of chaos, his strength increased by another level. The demonic sovereign was the first to attack. The golden crow's sharp claws tore through the chaos and clawed at the holy sword. Boom! The primal chaos surged as half-saints clashed. The power of the world tore apart the divine might of the holy sword. The great path crisscrossed, and the great path of chaos manifested. Primal chaos, sacred sword. Xianling gave you this sword to trick you. I am the primal chaos golden crow. The might of the fiend god Tao, the true primal chaos golden crow. The great path of the golden crow swept out, and with the support of the map of mountains and rivers, its saintly might was boundless. Within the immortal formation, half-saints fought. Outside, inside the reincarnation plate, immortal sovereigns descended, but they could not shake the reincarnation and could not pass through the primal chaos golden crow divine fire. In the sky, gazes penetrated the golden barrier and watched the battle of the heavenly court. The heavenly emperor's eyes were cold. Why is this monster emperor ahead of us? The strength displayed by the monster emperor had already surpassed them. Half-saint, although they had comprehended the divine Tao, they did not dare to say that they were half-saints. But the monster emperor was a true half-saint, definitely. The demon sovereign will lose, and the flower and fruit mountain will also be buried. The monster emperor said coldly. The reincarnation plate is left outside, and he no longer has a sage artifact. On the other hand, the heavenly emperor not only has the heavenly cycle star formation, but also the sage artifact given by Xianling. In that case, no matter what, the monster emperor has no chance of winning. The heavenly court's heavenly emperor pondered. Of course. The demonic beast, the arch, sneered with a confident expression. The demonic beast sovereign has no chance of survival. We can just sit back and reap the benefits. It's too early to reap the benefits. If the heavenly emperor dies so early, our divine Tao will be broken. The heavenly court's heavenly emperor frowned. The heavenly court's heavenly emperor smiled. Who said it would end so early? We can give him more chances. In the distance, celestial venerable Zhen Xian and celestial venerable Peng Lai were also watching the heavenly court's battle. Sigh, the monster emperor is impulsive again. Celestial venerable Zhen Xian sighed. Celestial venerable Peng Lai frowned. What a pity. Wouldn't it be better if the monster emperor continued to endure and wait for his strength to improve? Endure how? He has already become a half-saint. Does he have to wait until he becomes a sage? And Celestial Venerable appeared beside them. He carried a big iron rod and sneered. When that time comes, the other 3 heavenly emperors would be about the same. You old monkey, why? Are you going to help? Celestial Venerable Zhen Xian glanced at him. Then go quickly. Of course I want to help. Didn't I come to find you? Celestial Venerable Monkey said. Celestial Venerable Peng Lai said indifferently. You just want to drag us down. Let me tell you, it's impossible. You too. If you're afraid of death, then be afraid of death. Stop pretending. Celestial Venerable Monkey said disdainfully. When a monster emperor is defeated, you will still be tortured by them in the future. The 2 celestial venerables looked at each other and sighed. Find a chance and save him if you can. In the heavenly cycle star formation, the great Taos fought. The 3-legged golden crow was full of injuries. The heavenly emperor was not much better. His crown was shattered, and there were claw marks that were deep to the bone. Chaos holy sword, you still can't unleash its power. The monster emperor's eyes shone brightly. He did not panic at all. This chaos holy sword was also made from the corpse of a chaos demon god. Moreover, it was a chaos demon god. The Heavenly Emperor did not have the ability to unleash the might of a chaos demon god. He was not as powerful as the immortal spirit. If not for the Heavenly Cycle Star Formation, the Monster Emperor would have killed the Heavenly Emperor long ago. The world manifested. The mountain river map poured down the world's power, trying to cut off the connection between the Heavenly Emperor and the formation. Monster Emperor, I admit that you are capable. Why don't you stop for now? Don't let the Monster Emperor take advantage of you. The Heavenly Emperor's eyes flickered. The saintly might on his body was still strong. He was not afraid of the Monster Emperor. However, it was not beneficial for both of them to continue fighting like this. Once both of them were injured, the Monster Emperor and the others would definitely run out and reap the fruits of victory. Unfortunately, I am not willing. The Monster Emperor's expression was cold. Under the leadership of the Chaos Golden Crow, the great Daos enveloped the Heavenly Emperor. If one Dongwang Changhua dies, there will be a second, a third, and thousands of others. Your persistence will only make you and I withdraw from the battle for the Heavenly Emperor prematurely. You will only benefit others. The Heavenly Court's Heavenly Emperor shouted angrily. However, he had no other choice but to fight. The Monster Emperor did not speak anymore. He only wanted to fight to the death and end this chaotic battle. Moreover, he did not lie to the Heavenly Emperor. Even if he died, his main body could create another Dongwang Changhua. As long as his main body was not killed, he could revive. However, the price of creating one was too high. Moreover, he could not control too many. After he died, he would also be injured. Both sides fought again. Feathers flew everywhere and turned into great Daos that dissipated in the Heavenly Cycle Star Formation. Chapter 800. On Mount Buzhou, Zhang Changkong gazed at the heavenly realm. He wasn't worried about his sub-body's battle, but this time, the three courts might really take advantage of him. He sighed that he couldn't get out. He had tried, but he could only sense his secondary body. Even if he sent out more divine power, it would only be absorbed by the secondary body. Ao Jin and the other peak immortal venerables were still comprehending the sacred saber. The chaotic golden Fian Celestial's great Tao was of great help to them. The four races that cultivated the great Tao of metal all gained great enlightenment. Peak celestial venerables like Ao Jin had vaguely comprehended a trace of the divine Tao. They did not rely on the power of heaven. If they could comprehend it, they would not need to rely on the primordial violet chi in the future and could directly attain the primordial chaos realm. It was just that the great primordial chaos tribulation was even more terrifying. Ordinary half-step sages couldn't survive it. Sitting down, cross-legged, Zhang Xian sensed his secondary body. Even if they had gotten lucky this time and captured the celestial arch, he would have obtained quite a lot of heavenly energy. The stately painting swallowed the primordial chaos and isolated the Heavenly Cycle Star Formation. Both sides suffered countless injuries, blood flowing like rivers. World force wrapped around the two. The sacred sword of chaos could not activate the chaos fiend celestial, so it could not do much damage to the Monster Emperor. The chaos golden crow Tao pattern suppressed the chaos. Divine flames burned the heavens, causing the primal chaos to boil. Rumble. The starry sky changed, the sun and moon lost their light, and the stars in the sky dimmed. The heavenly court's celestial arch roared angrily. His holy might shook the entire array as his divine body merged into the starry sky. The demon emperor frowned as his world energy tore through the starry sky. The heavenly cycle star formation was still active, but the celestial arch was nowhere to be seen. Divine power spread out, and the surroundings quietened down. There was still no one to be seen. The demon emperor's face darkened. Are you thinking of running away? The map of mountains and rivers stirred the starry sky. The starry sky cracked, and the celestial light outside was dazzling. He really ran away. The demon sovereign stepped out of the formation and appeared in the heavenly court. The celestial arch was nowhere to be seen. The demon monarch was dumbfounded that the battle between half-saints had ended just like that. The celestial arch doesn't want such a big business anymore. Divine power enveloped the celestial court. Not a single celestial venerable could be seen. All of them had left. Within the reincarnation disk, thousands of demons roared excitedly. The demon emperor's divine might shall destroy the heavenly court. Take down the heavenly court. The monster emperor snorted coldly. At this moment, he could only take down the heavenly court. The reincarnation disk trembled, and the netherworld palace appeared, not forgetting to order, capture heavenly King Ziwei alive. As the demon's sovereign commands. In the cycle of reincarnation, thousands of demons howled together. In the sky, the demon, the arch, frowned. The celestial thearcha's aura has disappeared. Apart from the heavenly court's heavenly emperor, there are also the immortal sovereigns under him, said the heavenly court's heavenly emperor solemnly. The heavenly emperor of the immortal court was stunned. The demon emperor won? Wasn't this ending a little too fast? Before they could even react, the heavenly court's heavenly emperor was defeated. The aura of the heavenly court's heavenly emperor was clearly very strong before, but it suddenly disappeared. 3 streams of light rushed toward the heavenly court at the same time. The demon emperor's eyes were cold. It's Zhen Xuan and the others. Let's go take a look. Since he couldn't figure it out here, he could only head over to take a look. Within the heavenly court, the demon monarch stood in front of the cloudy palace of the Golden Arches. Heavenly King Ziwei stood beside him. He was not in a hurry to deal with him. Instead, he suppressed him. The demon emperor had already sensed the arrival of venerable Zhen Xian and the others. Wherever the divine power passed, the remaining mutated immortal gods were wiped out. Below the heavenly court, there were many mutant armies. The demon monarch consumed a pill to recover. His demonic god Dao pattern circulated, and his aura gradually stabilized. Congratulations, demon monarch, for taking down the heavenly court. Venerable Zhen Xian and the others arrived and cupped their hands. Sun Wuxuan hurriedly greeted the old monkey. Patriarch Wu Su. Sun Wuxiu, celestial venerable Sun Wuxiu, the strongest monkey of Flower Fruit Mountain. Very well done. Flower Fruit Mountain's nurturing did not go to waste. Sun Wuxiu patted his shoulder and grinned. Demon monarch, where is the heavenly court's celestial arch? Venerable Zhen Xian couldn't help but ask. They had been paying attention to the battle. The celestial thearcha's aura suddenly disappeared. Many celestial venerables' auras also disappeared. I don't know. The demon monarch shook his head. The celestial arch suddenly fled. The heavenly court's celestial arch was not willing to fight to the death with him. He was also not confident that he could defeat him. If he did not leave, neither of them would have a good ending. Both sides would suffer, and the 3 courts would benefit. The heavenly court's celestial arch clearly considered this point, which was why he chose to leave. The demon monarch looked into the void. Big brother, the 2 celestial thearchs, show yourselves. Second brother, you are truly capable. You took down the heavenly court alone. After the demon monarch appeared, his expression was cold. The demon monarch said indifferently, "The heavenly court was taken down by me and many brothers. It was not my work alone." The other 2 celestial thearchs' eyes were cold. The celestial thearcha's sudden departure caused them to lose the source of the power of heaven. The demon monarch was cutting off their divine Tao. Demon monarch, do you know your crimes? The demon monarch said coldly. The demon monarch frowned. What crime did I commit by taking down the heavenly court? Demon monarch, you are truly capable. You obtained enough power of heaven and became a half-sage before us. Then you took down the heavenly court and cut off our Tao. The celestial court's celestial arch said coldly. The will of the heavenly Tao? What a joke. The heavenly Tao told you to kill celestial spirits. Why didn't you go deep into the chaos and hunt celestial spirits? The mountain and river state painting has appeared for many days. Which of you dares to say that you cleared out the celestial spirits? The demon monarch said coldly. The demon monarch said indifferently, Second brother, are you going to betray the demon court and betray me? I am just not willing to let the heavenly court's war continue. How many innocent celestial spirits died? Not even 1 out of 10 of my sons survived. All of them died for your divine Tao. The demon monarch's expression was cold. The demon monarch's Tao aura was faintly discernible. The demon monarch sneered. If not for our arrangements, how could you become a half-sage? You obtained enough for yourself and overturned the entire situation. You make it sound so nice. You are the one who benefited the most from the heavenly court this time. The 3 celestial thearchs were furious. You ate your fill alone, but you did not let us eat? You got enough benefits, but we did not. I want to fight my way in and end things prematurely. It was you who secretly emitted celestial light and broke my divine power. You destroyed my immortal spirit and forced me to retreat. The demon monarch said coldly, "Do you dare to admit this?" Demon monarch, what you did was not right, Sun Wushu said coldly. The 2 celestial thearchs of the celestial court and celestial court had cold expressions and did not speak. They were waiting for the demon thearch's explanation. If it wasn't for the demon arch, they would have made their move long ago. Demon Emperor, if you can wake up, you will still be this emperor's elder brother. This emperor will definitely unify the heaven realm for you. The demon emperor said solemnly, "Unify the heaven realm, the heavenly Tao. The demon emperor will definitely be able to become a saint." The heavenly sovereigns of the divine court and immortal court had a drastic change in their expressions. The demon sovereign wouldn't really do that, right? Or was that what he had always thought? Otherwise, why would the demon emperor continue to protect the demon emperor? The demon thearch's expression was extremely gloomy. "I will give you one more chance. Be obedient in the future, and you will still be the demon arch. Our paths are different." The demon emperor sighed, and his might surged. "If you want to fight, you can try. You really disappoint me." The demon emperor sighed. "I thought you had changed. I didn't expect you to choose the wrong path, Jiang Changkong." "What? Jiang Changkong?" The demon emperor's words made everyone's expression change drastically. Sun Wushu and Sun Wushuan were also dumbfounded. Venerable Zhen Xian, Venerable Peng Lai, and the others were also shocked. Chapter 801. Jiang Changkong. The celestial court was shocked. All the immortals in the surroundings, including Sun Wushuan, scattered. Venerable Zhen Xian and Venerable Peng Lai were shocked. They had been wondering why the demon emperor would protect Jiang Changkong. Was it because Jiang Changkong was the demon emperor? A faint golden light flew out of the demon emperor's body and landed in the demon emperor's hand. The primordial demon emperor gave you the incomplete immortal title and imparted you the golden crow immortal scripture, not to let you overthrow the demon court. The demon emperor held the incomplete immortal title, and the power of heaven was dense, glowing with a faint golden light. The demon emperor's expression was calm. "So, you knew all along that the primordial demon emperor had informed you? The demon emperor pitied you and helped you, but now you're biting the hand that fed you." The demon emperor said coldly. "Pity? Biting the hand that fed you?" The demon emperor sneered and put his hands behind his back. His Tao power was faintly discernible. "You made the deal so ridiculous. I promised the primordial demon emperor to spread the name of the demon court and awaken the demon court's heavenly Tao. I did it all. Primordial demon emperor, did you let the demon emperor sacrifice the lives of tens of thousands of demons and countless immortals to complete the demon emperor's divine Tao? Did the heavenly Tao let the demon emperor cooperate with the immortal spirits and do things for them?" "What? Cooperate with the immortal spirits? Do things for the immortal spirits?" These words shocked Sun Wushuan and the others, including Venerable Zhen Xian and Venerable Peng Lai. The demon emperor was furious. "Nonsense! How could I cooperate with the immortal spirits? Not long ago, I killed a half-sane immortal spirit and looked into its memory," the demon emperor said lightly. "Demon emperor, if you dare to do it, you must admit it. Why should I admit something I didn't do?" The demon emperor's expression was cold. "Jiang Changkong, you don't belong to the demon race, and you're not the heavenly Tao's chosen celestial arch. No matter how strong you are, you can't sit on the throne." The 2 pieces of news made the immortal spirit's minds buzz. The demon emperor had become Jiang Changkong. The demon emperor was the immortal spirit's partner? Was there still a safe place in the heaven realm? The demon sovereign suddenly laughed. The reincarnation plate and the painting of mountains and rivers floated beside him. After saying so much, we still have to fight. I wonder how you compare to the celestial sovereign. The celestial arch, with the help of the heavenly cycle star formation and a sage artifact, had become a half-step sage. In the end, he lost to the demon emperor. It didn't matter if the sky emperor chose to retreat or hide temporarily. Now that the one standing here was the demon emperor, it meant that he had won. The celestial emperors of the celestial court and celestial court were not in a hurry to act. They were waiting for the monster emperor's reply. The demon arch took 2 steps back and sneered. I want to see how you're going to sit on the throne of the celestial arch. Listen up, demon race. Retreat from the heavenly court. I obey the demon thearch's decree. One by one, the beasts chose to leave. They belonged to the demon race and were loyal to the demon emperor. Looking at the demons leaving, the demon emperor's expression remained calm. Who's willing to stay and open a new chapter with me? Jiang Changkong, or Dongwang Changyue. You're no longer the demon emperor. By the way, you should change your name, Jiang Changyue. The demon emperor raised his hand again, and the bell of chaos fragment left the demon emperor's body and returned to his hand. Heavenly court, divine court, immortal court, demon court. TSK, TSK. I have to say, Jiang Changkong, you really went around the 4 great factions. The divine court celestial arch couldn't help but say, the immortal world and heavenly realm can't tolerate you. Until now, you still haven't woken up. Have you gone on the wrong path? The celestial court, celestial arch, said coldly. The demon emperor's expression was calm. The one who is wrong is not me, but you, the entire heavenly realm. Laughable. The 3 celestial thearchs laughed at the same time. Extremely laughable. Since I became the demon emperor, have I ever wronged the demon court? Have I ever wronged my subordinates? The leaving beasts suddenly paused. The demon emperor did not wrong them. On the contrary, if not for the demon emperor, they might have died long ago. The previous war could have killed them countless times. The demon emperor said coldly, since you said it was a deal with the primordial demon emperor, then you should do all this. However, you are not a demon. I also want to see how you, a loner, will ascend to the position of celestial emperor. The celestial court, celestial arch sneered. The celestial court, celestial arch was indifferent and silent. If the beasts dispersed and abandoned the demon emperor, then everything he did would be meaningless. The itinerant cultivator alliance will always support the demon emperor. If the demon emperor does not disappoint me, I, Sun Li, will always follow the demon emperor. The few remaining immortals of the itinerant cultivator alliance knelt on one knee and pledged their eternal loyalty. The word from last night echoed in the cloudy palace of the Golden Arches. Sun Wuxuan also bowed. Sun Wuxuan of Huagua Mountain greets the demon emperor. I will always follow you. Sun Yuan of Huagua Mountain will always follow the demon emperor. Sun Wuxing of Huagua Mountain. The monkeys wore immortal armor and held metal cudgels, declaring their loyalty. You, the demon emperor's expression darkened, and he looked at Sun Wuxiu. Sun Wuxiu, manage your subordinates. Sun Wuxiu bowed slightly and said loudly, Sun Wuxiu of Huagua Mountain invites the demon monarch to ascend to the position of celestial emperor. The lineage of Mount Huagua requests the demon emperor to ascend to the position of celestial emperor. His voice shook the 9 heavens and resounded through the sky. The wind and clouds and the horizon surged, and the heavenly Tao sensed it. The demon emperor walked towards the celestial arch throne. Halfway there, a figure bowed and said, the demon race's Aoyin, Yumia, Feng Jiao, Xian Mia, will forever follow the demon emperor. The demon emperor, forget about Feng Jiao, this Aoyin Yumia was sent over by us, and you betrayed us just like that? Looking at the demon thearcha's pale face, the demon emperor smirked. Arriving at the heavenly sovereign's seat, the demon sovereign slowly sat down. Demon sovereign, you are the ones in the wrong. Buzz. The heavenly court suddenly fluctuated. The immortal palaces and pavilions suddenly distorted, fluctuated, and became faint. The numinous Heaven King Palace started to disappear. Lightning surged in the sky, and a bolt of lightning struck down towards the spirit demon emperor. The wheel of reincarnation trembled, and the power of reincarnation devoured the lightning. Jiang Chankong, do you see that? If heaven doesn't agree, no matter how strong you are, you're also unable to become a heavenly emperor. The celestial courts, celestial the arch sneered. You are a joke. Sun Wuxuan and the other monsters were stunned. Sun Wushu was also stunned. If the heavens did not allow it, so what if he was strong? You really surprised me. The demon emperor's expression was indifferent. Since the heavens do not give the heavenly court, I will create my own heavenly court. The three celestial thearchs, are you crazy? Create your own heavenly court? I will watch you create it. The demon the arch did not make a move. He was not the demon emperor's match. The current demon emperor's strength had already surpassed them. The two celestial thearchs frowned and prepared to leave. Celestial courts, celestial the arch, wait, the demon emperor said indifferently. What is it? The celestial courts, celestial the arch, stopped in his tracks. The demon emperor said, my holy land should be returned. Take it away. I have long wanted your holy land to leave. The celestial courts, celestial the arch, snorted coldly and left on a cloud. Of course, this was because he could not defeat the demon emperor. If it was him, he would definitely not return it. The help of the holy land was too great. The immortal scriptures and insights inside have been raised to the limit of an immortal venerable. If there were enough resources and enough time, as long as one was not an idiot, they would definitely be able to comprehend the Tao of an immortal venerable. The demon emperor said again. Also, the heavenly court's Buzhou mountain, the celestial world's territory. I hope you will not touch it. The three celestial thearchs left. None of them said anything. The demon emperor was about to explode from anger. Chapter 802. Demon Emperor. Heavenly Court still has many mutated armies that have not been destroyed. The armies of the three courts are here, said Aoyin Yumia. Demon Emperor said, Sun Wushu, go to Heavenly Court and move the sacred land to Heavenly Realm. As for the rest of the demons, follow me to exterminate the mutant army. Kill as many as you can. Yes. The demons left. Demon Emperor handed the reincarnation disc to them. Zhan Xian, Celestial Venerable, was moved. I will follow Taoist Wushu. Thank you, Celestial Venerable. Demon Emperor cupped his hands. I will go with you. Peng Lai Celestial Venerable also left. With three Celestial Venerables, there should be no accidents. Even if Heavenly Court's Celestial the Arch ran out, he should be able to delay for some time until he arrived. Demon Emperor's stately painting destroyed thousands of mutated immortals. Although the heavenly Tao did not agree to him becoming a celestial the arch, it would still give him the power of heaven. The people of the three courts were shameless. Now, only these mutated armies were left. The celestial the arch personally came. Demon Emperor had no choice. It was unrealistic to fight one against three now with the heavenly court's celestial the arch in the dark. The three celestial thearchs also considered this and did not attack. Demon Emperor was the fiercest and vented his anger on these mutated immortals. There were many mutated immortals. The stately painting swept across and killed many. The four courts besieged them. Without their celestial venerables, these mutated immortals could only be killed. The massacre lasted for 2 days and 2 nights. Demon Emperor's divine power was almost exhausted. The armies of the three courts also retreated. They needed to digest their gains this time. The sacred land had moved over and occupied Heavenly Court's territory on Mount Buzhou. Demon Emperor's temple did not need to be rebuilt. It had the Heavenly Tao's Saint Venerable Temple. After he became an Celestial Venerable, the temple also changed and strengthened. The sacred land's peaceful aura calmed their hearts. The Tao Comprehension Temple and the other temples made them even more surprised. Cultivating here was simply like heaven. It was peaceful and auspicious, and it allowed them to calm their hearts. This was a true paradise. Only Demon Emperor was left in the Saint Venerable Temple. Heavenly King Ziwei appeared. Demon Emperor said indifferently, "Long time no see, Ziwei." Demon Emperor. Heavenly King Ziwei stood up. The sacred land's power could not calm him. Heavenly Monarch Ziwei wore a complex expression, and he didn't know how to face the being before him. Previously, he had chosen to cooperate with them, but now he had been reduced to a prisoner. After a long while, Heavenly Monarch Ziwei asked, "Where's the Celestial Arch?" "The Heavenly Emperor has already abandoned you." The demon sovereign said calmly, "If you are willing to pay for your sins, this sovereign can give you a chance." Heavenly Monarch Ziwei's expression shifted. "I don't know where the Celestial Arch will go. I don't want you to find the Heavenly Emperor. I just want you to repay the sins you committed in the future and return it to the heavenly realm." The Demon Emperor said, "Pay for your sins? Return to the heavenly realm?" Heavenly Monarch Ziwei murmured coldly, "You want me to pledge my loyalty to you? This sovereign does not lack an immortal king." The Demon Emperor said. Heavenly Monarch Ziwei's brows furrowed tightly. "What do you want me to do?" The Demon Emperor said, "I've already said it. In the future, you will have to pay for your sins. Do good deeds and do good deeds, and you will be rewarded by the heavens." Heavenly Monarch Ziwei said solemnly, "Demon Monarch, as long as you help me obtain the position of Emperor Ziwei, I'll do whatever you want me to do in the future." The Demon Monarch's hand faltered slightly. He didn't think that Heavenly Monarch Ziwei would still have this dream even now. "Even now, you still don't realize that you are not the future Emperor Ziwei?" The Demon Monarch sighed lightly. "I have followed the Celestial Arch for many years. I've fought everywhere and established the Heavenly Court. I put in so much effort to obtain the authority of Heavenly Monarch Ziwei. Now that the Heavenly Tao has awakened, the position of Emperor Ziwei should be mine. The Heavenly Court has already been destroyed," the Demon Monarch said indifferently. "I'm willing to work for you. As long as you help me obtain the position of Immortal Ziwei, I will share everything with you once I become Emperor Ziwei, regardless of who the Celestial Arch is in the future." "Ziwei, do you think I will look favorably upon a mere Emperor Ziwei?" Demon Monarch, the position of Emperor Ziwei is extremely important. Even the Celestial Arch has to treat it with respect. If the Celestial Arch succeeds, I will join forces with the Demon Monarch to make him a mere figurehead. The Demon Monarch stared blankly at Emperor Ziwei before pointing a finger. "Understand the situation first. I have already fallen out with the Celestial Arch." Heavenly Monarch Ziwei's expression froze as he digested the information in his mind. Demon Monarch Jiang Changkong? One person? The Demon Monarch looked at him in silence for an hour before asking, "Have you come to your senses?" "Demon Sovereign, since you're Jiang Changkong, this is even easier. We can't be the Heavenly Emperor. We can't become the Celestial Arch. But if I become Emperor Ziwei and you become the Celestial Lord of Justice, we can sit back and wait for a victor to be decided. We can easily take control of." Heavenly Monarch Ziwei was extremely excited as he continued to narrate. "Shut up." The Demon Monarch's expression turned cold. "Ziwei, let me ask you again. Do you really want the position of Immortal Ziwei? If I don't become Emperor Ziwei, then what is the point of my life's pursuit?" Heavenly Monarch Ziwei's expression was sinister. "All right, I'll take you to see her." The Demon Monarch enveloped Emperor Ziwei in a beam of immortal light before disappearing into the distance. Heavenly Monarch Ziwei was a little excited. Was he going to see the person who held the position of Immortal Ziwei? If it wasn't someone close to the Demon Monarch, then he could express his loyalty and ask the Demon Monarch to help him obtain the position of Immortal Ziwei. However, as they flew, Heavenly Monarch Ziwei's expression gradually shifted. The lunar star. Aside from a new moon goddess, there was another person on the lunar star. His daughter, Zilan. Just as he was about to ask, the Demon Monarch had already landed. The two fairies walked out of the Cold Moon Palace and looked at the Demon Monarch and Heavenly Monarch Ziwei. "You are the Demon Monarch?" Yushui was slightly astonished. "Father," Fairy Zilan said with excitement. "Don't come any closer." Heavenly Monarch Zi Wei yelled coldly with a hint of madness on his face. Fairy Zilan's footsteps faltered, and she was given a fright. "Father, what's wrong?" Heavenly Monarch Zi Wei panted heavily before turning to look at the Demon Monarch. "You're lying to me, aren't you? Aren't you?" The Demon Monarch stepped forward and sighed. "Let me reintroduce myself. Jiang Changkong's incarnation, Dongwang Changyue. Did as you requested and brought back your father? The heavenly court has been destroyed." Fairy Yushui's voice trembled. "It has. The celestial arch and many immortal sovereigns are on the run. I destroyed it," the Demon Monarch said calmly. "Father." Fairy Zilan took a few steps forward, but Heavenly Monarch Ziwei kept retreating. "Don't come any closer. Don't come any closer. I'll take my leave first." The Demon Monarch sighed softly before disappearing. "Jiang Changkong, Dongwang Changyue, stop. You're lying to me. You're lying to me." Heavenly Monarch Ziwei seemed to have gone mad as he roared and screamed in the direction that the Demon Monarch had left. He had pursued it his entire life, exhausted all means, and killed countless immortal kings and heavenly monarchs. In the end, immortal Ziwei was by his side, and she was his daughter. Fairy Yushui sat on the lunar stone stool and looked at the celestial world with slightly red eyes. The fate of the moon goddess, eternal loneliness, was being fulfilled on her. She didn't know what to do with Zilan and Ziwei because she didn't know what to do. At the moment when the heavenly court was destroyed, her heart was filled with confusion and helplessness.